All right. Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. I think we're live. It's so hard to tell. I always feel so wonky when I go live without my starting soon screen, but my computer's still buggy. So we got to do what we got to do. Let me get the chat popping. Activate. Yes. Hey, everybody. Somebody said this is one of the few times I'm early on a Saturday. Well, welcome. You're just in time. We have a great topic today. So it's the first time finally making it. All right. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So I almost forgot. No worries. I always leave my streams up after. You can catch them whenever. Even though my last one got copyright claimed for some reason. I think it's still available. I don't know why. It said it was for some music. I haven't had time to look at it yet, but I'm like, what is going on, man? So it said my favorite bald man is live. Heck yes. I'm trying to be one of the good ones. We need good, like, bald representation, honestly. Someone said it's Saturday. It is Saturday. Yeah, the week is over. I don't know about y'all, but for me personally, this was like just a quick week. It was just over so fast. But I'm happy though. I'm excited. Someone said that we're going to talk about the beauty briefly. Our topic today. Oh, by the way, I see this is a lot of y'all's first time joining. Hi, welcome. So the way my streams usually go is the first 30 minutes or so is exactly what you're getting now, which is just a yap session. I'm literally just talking about any and everything. And then around the 30-minute mark or so, sometimes later, depending on how distracted I get, that's when we get into today's actual topic, which in this case would be Ryan Murphy. If you've never heard of him, yes, you have. I promise you're familiar with his work. We're going to get into that. And today I'm mostly talking about Ryan Murphy's docudramas that really have been rubbing people the wrong way, the way he just never seems to learn his lesson. And I think there's a lot of interesting conversation to be had about what is the difference between making artwork about public figures and just straight up slandering people because it's fun and you can get away with it. It's very interesting. But yeah, we have a lot of statements and this one, a lot of opinions. I'm here to make a defense that morality is not the same thing as legality. And so I'm not arguing that he should be sued or restricted from doing the things that he's doing, just that what he's doing is whack. Whack as hell, honestly, which is not an original thought on my part. Someone said his peak was Glee. Well, that's rough if that's true, because that was a very long time ago. That being said, someone said Evan Peters in the topic today. That being said, I am watching The Beauty. Nobody spoil it, please. I'm on episode... I think I have 2 episodes left, so maybe I'm on episode 9. Lord almighty. As much as I try to have, like... Someone said he made Glee. He did. Someone said he doesn't listen to the victims. No, he does not. As much as I try to have, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Taste? At the end of the day, I realize I am quite literally just a fan of trash. I can't change that. And I think that's completely okay when it's about fake stories with fake people. But when you're trying to apply this same spectacle over everything mentality to real stories that involve real people, oftentimes people who have gone through horrific abuse and things like this, that's not right, honestly. So that's kind of my thesis today. I think there's not a super, like, I don't know, dramatic take, but I think it's really interesting to kind of get into. Someone said Jeffrey Dahmer series. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Jeffrey Dahmer series. We're going to talk about his one about the Menendez brothers. We're going to talk about his new one about JFK Jr. and what the actress Daryl Hannah said about her portrayal in that. We're going to talk about, he has one called Feud, which is about Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. We're going to talk about that one. And then I'll open it up at the end if anybody has any other, takes on a Ryan Murphy docudrama that we did not get into. You can tell me about those as well. Those are the ones that I've actually researched and or watched and am familiar with. But yeah, no, just Lord, there's a lot going on there. Someone said The Beauty should have been so good, but he fumbled the ending. Unbelievably hard. You're scaring me. You're scaring me right now. Because like I said, I only have the 2 episodes left. Honestly, like, I wouldn't say it's a great show thus far. It's definitely had some really shaky things going on. But I was at least hoping, well, maybe it'll be worth it at the end. But you're making it sound like I'm in for some trash. And I should not be surprised. Someone said him and Tyler Perry. Well, I would make a video about Tyler Perry, but I don't know if y'all saw that like 4-hour long video about Tyler Perry that just dropped. FT Signifier. I don't have nothing to add. Nothing to add to a 4-hour video essay about everything wrong with Tyler Perry. Y'all can. Yes, there is literally 4 hours worth wrong with this man. So I'm glad that somebody said it. Thank the Lord. Somebody said what show? All the shows. Ryan Murphy has so many shows. I'm talking about The Beauty, but today, in today's video, we're going to talk about 4 other shows. Someone said peak FD mention. Yeah, no, I was like, stronger person than me. Because if you honestly think I'm going to sift through that much Tyler Perry energy, no. But I'm probably going to like watch that video at some point. I just haven't had the time yet. Somebody said basura, but if you're a raccoon, eat it up. And I am. That's my issue with consuming like trashy television for sure. Someone said, D'Angelo, do we now stream 1 hour before usual time? Do you not have daylight savings where you live? I'm asking legitimately because I literally just realized I changed all of the clocks in my apartment in accordance with daylight savings time, which happens here where I live, but it doesn't happen everywhere, does it? I didn't even think about that. So if you're confused as to why I appear to be streaming an hour earlier, which I kind of am, that's because my clocks moved. And I didn't remember that that's not everybody's collective experience. I didn't remember that at all until just now. Because I got a little bit of I got comments about that last time and I didn't know what anybody was talking about. I was like, I am not streaming early. What do you guys mean? Someone said it's next week in the UK. Oh, that's so weird. Okay. Well, not weird, but you know what I mean. Like it's different to me. That's wild. Someone said I live in South Africa, no daylight savings here. No, that's really, really, really different from what I'm used to. Well, that's good to know next time though. Like before I randomly change my clock, I will let people know. Like, hey, where I live right now, we got daylight savings time. So it may seem like I'm streaming at a different time. For me, that's a normal time. Someone said, how American of you? Yeah, no, very, very American vibes over here. What I would prefer, though, is for it to go away forever. I don't know if that's a good take. There might be somebody who has more knowledge or scientific know-how than me that is like, no, D'Angelo, we need daylight savings. If this goes away, you're going to be messing things up for other people. I don't have that knowledge. I'm just a neutral third party. I hope we would stop doing daylight savings forever because it really annoys me. Also, it kind of correlates to my depression. Not this one that we just had in, was it March? It's the other one that happens at the end of the year. I always get depressed as hell during that particular daylight savings event, and it's so bad actually. In fact, that last year was the only, or it was like the first time in about 10 to 12 years that I got through that period of the year without having really intense depression. And that was also just because I was managing my vitamin D and a bunch of other stuff really, really like closely. Oh man. And somebody said, wasn't March? D'Angelo, today is March. Listen, time is not real, okay? I mean, time is very much real, but it's also not real at all. Someone says seasonal depression. Woo! Yeah, no. Oh, I love me some seasonal depression. We're joking here. I don't love it at all. It's actually quite terrible. But like, man. Someone said daylight savings ends for us here in Australia in April. Okay, well, I'm very glad now that I understand why I was getting those comments last stream of like, did I start early? Because I thought that people were talking about me starting without my starting soon screen. And I was like, oh yeah, I did that. But now I realize. And this is another example of how time is not real, for real. But anyways, it's useful though. It's useful for us. I'm trying to think about like what else is going on today. Honestly, not much. It's been kind of not a slow week per se, but just a vibe week. I feel the energy coming down, which I'm really happy about. Also, this is really funny. I think, hold on, I'm trying to think back about what were my last few topics. We've only had problematic dudes. We've only had problematic dudes. No, I take that back. Jim Carrey didn't actually really do anything, but we had a video about Jim Carrey, and then we had a video about Timothy Chalamet, and then right now I'm recording a video about Ryan Murphy, and so I'm just like, this is so funny. There's just nothing but whack men this week. That was my entire purview. I hope you all enjoyed my 3 streams about 3 random dudes who everybody had opinions about. This is so funny. Somebody said Jim Carrey was fine. Yeah, no, Jim Carrey did not do anything that is worth criticizing in that specific instance, in my opinion. But that's just still really funny. I was like, wow, we took a break. We finally took a break. Someone said Jim Carrey just got old. Yeah, no, don't lump him in with Timothy Chalamet and his awful comments, and don't lump him in with Ryan Murphy and his unethical shows. It is not the same thing. Not the same thing. Someone said I just finished watching Charlie Puth, Iggy, and Jim Carrey videos before joining here. Oh yeah, we also talked about Charlie Puth. Listen, I'm telling y'all, I'm trying to keep it a buck with these commentary videos. You might have a string of, oh, this woman did something and we all have an opinion about it. Then you might get several back to back, but I'm looking for these dudes. I don't want to run one of those channels. They bother me so much where it's like woman of the week that we all hate now. And I'm just like, I don't. We really don't over here. I want to have smoke for everybody. Every single person. Somebody said, did you by chance see Adam Conover's video on Timothy? No, I did not. I should though. Someone said, "Quién es Ryan Murphy?" Ryan Murphy. Well, I'm spoiling. We're not there yet. I'll give you a little teaser. He made Glee, y'all. American Horror Story. There was one other one that was really big. Oh, Eat, Pray, Love, directed. So, trust. Even if you have never heard his name or you can't put the name to the work, you're probably at least familiar with his work by name. Someone said, I've never seen you live before. This is so great. Why, thank you. You joined during a good live. My lives go up and down in quality depending on how I feel or depending on what happens during them. But I do feel particularly like today's a good one. But one time I said, I feel like this is a good live, and that was the same day I got lawsuit threats. So try not to make too many guesses about how the live may or may not go. Just try to enjoy it in the moment. That's what I'm doing. Someone said, what about the show Love Story? Are we going to talk about that? Yes, we are. Briefly. Someone said Pose. I want to watch Pose. I've heard good things about it. It looks really interesting for sure. Scream Queens. Yeah, I've got that one. I'll mention that one. Reading. Someone said, D'Angelo, there's a way to turn off AI permanently from your searches. I found a tutorial on Instagram. I thought of telling you. Well, thank you, because I'm going to look that up myself. Right now I'm having to manually, when I search things on Google, add like minus AI to stop getting AI results, and that's been helping. Oh, wait a second. Can I give y'all a little segment right now? I'm not going to record this, but just a little talky talk segment about AI. I know we talk about AI on this channel a lot, but to be fair, it's literally because it keeps cropping up in places and just things that I literally use, right? Hold on. Epidemic sound. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, there is this service called Epidemic Sound, which I promise you, if you're a YouTube watcher, you have heard a lot of this music. Creators just were obsessed with Epidemic Sound because honestly, it's a pretty decent value and they do have good stuff on there from talented people. But what I worry about is I recently found out that they're now trying to push this AI voiceover thing, which literally makes no sense because Epidemic Sound is for music, right? And this is something that I was paying for, by the way, which I'm probably just going to stop, obviously. Human voiceovers enhanced by AI. No, this is literally just Gen AI, where I don't know why you would want to do this, but Epidemic either wants to take your actual voice and turn it into an AI so you can do text to speech and not have to record things anymore. They want to give you a bunch of voices from professional people who have apparently licensed their voice out to use. And I'm just like, man, this is like the clearest example of how absolutely pointless the inclusion of AI in every single software as a service business is. Nobody asked for this. I have never in my life spoken to a creator who was like, oh, you know what I wish Epidemic Sound would help him with instead of sounds and music? AI voiceover. No one needed this. I don't understand why they're even trying to compete when this already exists, by the way, in other places. But yeah, this is so stupid. Also, what's the word I'm looking for? This is kind of maybe pretentious or presumptuous of me, but I actually don't really think AI could replicate my voice. Why? Because I have range. What you're getting right now isn't even how I always sound, depending on what I'm saying. Sometimes I edit my clips back and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you be all over the place. AI doesn't go all over the place. You don't know my inflection. Like, you miss me with that. I would never do AI voiceovers to save time, because first of all, that's just lazy, and yeah, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. Sometimes I need this AI bubble to pop already. Yeah, no, for real. It's just, God. Somebody had asked me earlier. Well, no, they didn't ask me. They just asked in general, and then I offered my opinion on it unsolicited. But somebody had asked. They were like, I agree that this Epidemic Sound thing is bad, but like, I have trouble explaining to people why this specifically is an issue compared to other technological advancements that are actually good and things that computers do that help people. And I was like, oh, I got you. And so I essentially was like, it's just like a 3-pronged thing for me personally, which is that pretty much everything that is wrong with the world right now, AI encapsulates. And that is why people are so upset about it. On the one hand, for example, we're all very worried about the environment, as we should be, duh. And you have these data centers being built just specifically to run these AIs out of. You have this like completely unchecked overusage of resources like water, the emissions that are involved in all of these queries and stuff that the AI is doing. So it's like, we're worried about the planet, it's destroying the planet. Simultaneously, we are worried about jobs, right? Because this is not really a great time for anybody who's looking for a job, trying to find a job. And yet so much of the marketing around AI at this point is like, oh, eliminate your need to hire a professional. Eliminate your need to hire a professional. You don't need bandmates anymore. You don't need voiceover artists. You don't need illustrators. You don't need people who sing. You don't need music. Like, it's terrible. It's literally taking people's actual fear and generating a button that plays into this and giving it to everybody at this point, even though that's not even financially sustainable. And then simultaneously, we're all quite worried about our rights versus corporations that are doing whatever they want with our data, etc., which is why it's quite unappealing seeing these enormous companies play fast and loose with people's intellectual property, the things that they create, or even their very likenesses, which is completely wrong, obviously. So I was like, it's really just a crossroads of multiple things happening at once that makes this particular thing so stupid. And then when you consider that it is quite literally for nothing, that's when the rage kicks in for me personally, because I'm like, okay, you're doing these things to the environment, you're stealing from people, you're trying to replace human beings with a machine, literally to generate nothing. This is not artwork. These are not songs. No one has ever actually generated AI artwork. No one has ever generated AI music. These aren't like, no one's doing what they think they're doing. And so, God, if you're going to destroy everything, at least do it for a reason, which is a bad take. But I'm just like, doing it for no reason literally just makes it infuriating to people. And that's my take, essentially, or one of my takes on AI. It's just like, yeah. And then that person was like, yeah, you know what? I like the way that you explained it. And I think I'm going to start borrowing some of those points. But yeah, no, it's so pointless. This is like, it reminds me a lot of NFTs. Who here remembers NFTs? Does anybody remember those? Someone said we aren't lasting for another 100 years if we keep this up. Lord, I hope we don't keep this up. NFTs, for those of you who don't know, non-fungible tokens, or however you say that, were this thing that were supposed to be the future or whatever. And they made a mistake Someone said I'm glowing. Thank you. I did my skincare today. They made a mistake of pretty much only marketing NFTs to like a certain kind of person, aka either rich people or like a certain kind of crypto bro, people who were already predisposed to this, and they did not really do a great job of explaining the value of an NFT to an average person because they don't actually have value. And it was very much something that some people were upset about, railing against the environment or the environmental impact of these things and the uselessness of it all. But now they have done such a very good job of getting the average person to believe that generative AI is a necessity in their life. Don't just take a picture. Let Google Gemini fix your picture for you or create new pictures. Don't just like have a dog, take a picture of your dog, give it to ChatGPT and turn it into a Renaissance painting. All things that human beings can do. But like at this point, Google is like, oh, don't just text people. Use your text to prompt an AI generated song and send that to people instead. So big tech kind of messed up the first time around of trying to market nonsense to people who buy into the nonsense. And so they're a lot better this time about being like, no, this is like pointless and stupid, but actually you really need it and it's useful and it's painful. It's not good. Someone said the onboarding to use NFTs was just too much. Yeah, no, it's not good. Someone said, hey y'all, what have I missed? And who's Ryan Murphy? Nothing. I've only been live for 21 minutes. We've just been yapping about various things. Probably in about 10 minutes, we'll start talking about Ryan Murphy. If you don't know who he is, you'll learn. You shall learn. Someone said, what did he do to this time? It's very much a continuation of problems that he's been had, honestly. Anyways, what else do we got? Someone said, I want to get off the internet, but I'm afraid if I don't stay plugged in, I'll get fooled by an AI catfishing scammer when I'm 60. I mean, I will say you don't necessarily have to get off the internet, but taking a break from the internet is so incredibly beneficial if you can afford to do so, which many people can and have much more of an ability to get off the internet than they realize. I'm not even talking about like take a sabbatical or whatever. You just go a day and just be like, you know what? Today, I don't need external input because I can't change anything about the world today. And then tomorrow, you can learn what happened yesterday or whatever. Like even just kind of boxing your internet usage into specific times, for me personally, has deeply helped me with this whole, like, I feel like I'm drowning in the internet thing that I've struggled with on and off throughout, well, my entire life. I've been honestly chronically online since I was a child, since I was a minor for the last 15 years. But yeah, what can you really do? Someone said a day is a good idea. For real. You can take a break from the internet for a day without messing anything up. Someone said this shade of pink is healing me. Thank you. Listen to me. I worked hard to find this very shade right here. Because the thing about pink, it's a little too powerful. You know what I mean? You can get like Barbie energy, or you can get you're like blinding me. Like I can't, you can get that feeling you get when you close your eyes and then there's a light in front of you that's too bright. That's the kind of pink that I was not looking for. I wanted something that was very, very pink. It's like I can't just half commit to it, but I also wanted it to not feel visually overwhelming or too pink. So yeah, I was like, saturation up, no, saturation down, brightness up, brightness down. I was like creating multiple versions of this because essentially it's really easy to change the color of something in Photoshop. You just need to put an adjustment layer above it, things that you can do when you have skills instead of using AI for everything. And so yeah, I was just so much like finagling of everything, just trying to get this shade. So yay, I'm glad it worked. Happy. Someone said, I got my nails done today and I realized it's the same pink. Nice. It's a good shade, to be fair. It's a really good shade. Someone said, I don't usually like hot pink, but you made me like it. I really, really worked for that. And hey, if it is too much for some people, it's okay. They'll live. Plenty of other creators to watch. Someone said, are you a nature person? In doses. I like having controlled times to go outside and experience the beauty of nature. Actually, I'm going to turn this fan on. Speaking of experiences, Okay, cool. I like going out and experiencing the beauty of nature in specific predetermined time periods, after which I quite enjoy returning to the comfort of the indoors. That's how I feel personally. All right. Someone said I love pastel pink mixed with black personally. That is a really good look as well. Pastels in general. I don't think I've ever had, have I ever had a pastel era on YouTube? I don't think so. But there was one time during my art journey, with whatever you want to call that, where I did what's the word? Exclusively look for or create artwork using pastels, yellows, blues, and pinks, and then also black and white, and just like mixing those together in various parts of the image. And honestly, that stuff was fire. I got a lot of really good images out of that. They looked quite editorial. This is a very long time ago. Like, some of this artwork may be almost 10 years old at this point. But yeah, pastels plus black are quite unmatched, honestly. Someone said, are you a Virgo? Yes, technically, I really am. Which is, I'm not beating the allegations. I truly am not. Someone said, you're not a biosphere person. Yeah, I guess I'm not a biosphere person. I hardly believe in the biosphere being a real thing. I mean, it's a real thing. I can go outside and experience it. But when I saw that word on Wikipedia, I got so mad because I'm like, what? It's a biosphere. Clearly not. What we learned, natural sciences. I'm not a natural sciences type guy. Someone said, can we talk about the political and economic state of the world right now? Yes, we can. That's my thoughts. What about you? Do you have similar thoughts, or do you have anything to add to that? That's kind of where I'm at with the political economic state of the world right now. I know that that's a reference to Jaden Smith, I believe. I want to see if I can find the tweet. Jaden Smith, political economic state tweet. Here it is. Oh, it was an interview, I guess. It was an interview. Okay, wait. Oh my god, where is this interview? Okay, here we go. It says, this is old Jaden. Jaden Smith is being mocked, says Page 6, in a recent interview for saying he preferred hanging out with adults over kids because children didn't like to talk about the political and economic state of the world. I'm very happy that I spent my childhood with more adults than I did with kids my own age because I was picking up more things from adults than I were from kids my own age. He went on to imitate the voice of a young person, claiming they like to say things like, look at my phone, selfie. I'm just like, dude, like, oh my god, can we talk about the political and economic state of the world right now? Can we talk about what's going on in the environment? Can we talk about other things? He admitted he does like to turn up flex, play songs loud, and jump in the club in Atlanta from time to time, but is mostly preoccupied with looking for that next thing. I swear to God, Jaden Smith is like an entire vibe. He's an entire vibe, honestly. And that's a neutral descriptor. I'm not saying that Jaden Smith is a good vibe or a bad vibe. Actually, I think Jaden Smith has done things that are really cool, objectively, like philanthropy wise, but what an interesting person. He's so funny. That being said, I will accept no slander about Willow Smith specifically. Look, I'm not going to be parasocial. I don't know her, but I won't accept any slander over her music. No. Say what you will. Say what you will about her being a Nepo baby, because she is. Willow Smith is a Nepo baby. She is the definition of that. Both of her parents were famous as hell. She was handed a career, but she really did something with that career. She really, really did something with that career that she did not really have to work as hard for as other people. I acknowledge that. I understand that. But oh my gosh, that music, man. This is, and by the way, she's the standard that I hold Nepo babies to. I'm like, if it is this easy for you to get people to listen to your music and you're not doing anything interesting with it, you're angering me. You're making me mad. Someone says she did wonders with it. She did wonders with that career that her family helped her get, and I quite enjoy listening to that music. But yeah, I think about other Nepo babies and I'm just like, man, truly just handed everything and did nothing with it. Nothing. Uh, someone said you do in fact have to hand it to Willow Smith. Someone said I love Nepo babies with talent. Look, that is my a personality flaw on my part. I do like me a talented Nepo baby when they appear. I'm just like, oh, that's so interesting to see what somebody can actually do with like opportunity. The same opportunities that I do wish were available for everyone is kind of how I feel. I still don't love this dichotomy at all of there being massive privilege for certain people that other people could never hope to dream of, but I'd be putting on in pathogen and just, I have such big feelings. I have such big feelings. Oh, I was supposed to give you the meme of the day. I'm trying to make this a thing and I'm literally 30 minutes late and I didn't remember to give you the meme of the day. Hold on, let me find this one. I have a folder with all of these, but then I don't have the folder on my actual computer, so I have to find them over here. Okay, great. Today's meme of the day is this. I'll get out of the way. This is today's meme of the day. Bros, we're back. It's so over. We're so back. It's over. Bros, it's over. Real. If this meme doesn't make any sense to you, that's okay. This is still, this is the energy. In fact, I feel like this is how my week went, low key. This is how most of my weeks go at this point. Very much just a week in the life. So yeah, that's our meme. Our meme of the day is we're so back, it's so over, and the dichotomy thereof. Someone said, did you make this? No, somebody sent this to me. Any meme that I show you for our meme of the day segment, somebody probably sent to me. Reading chat. Someone said, can you please explain? No. It's basically just about like, sometimes the vibes are giving what's supposed to be gave, and sometimes they're giving nothing, essentially. Someone said feeling clocked. Yes, no, that, I was like, okay, reduce me to my bare essentials, why don't you? All right. Oh, I forgot that my second monitor has been acting really buggy. I wonder if it'll actually work today. Fingers crossed for a functional second monitor. Uh-oh, chat. Uh-oh, chat. I don't think the second monitor is function. Oh, it's back! Whoa, we are so back! Yes! I had to go 2 streams in a row without my second monitor, which is so funny. I should just get a normal monitor. I should get a normal monitor that works all the time, no matter what the state of your internet connection is. But instead, I insist upon using this Windows Surface tablet as a monitor by projecting my stuff to it. And because I feel like it's just cooler. And I don't really have space on my desk for a third monitor. So, you know what? You got to do what you got to do, honestly. You got to do what you got to do. All right. Someone said we're so back. Yeah, no, we're back. See? Someone's a live example of the meme. No, I literally did not plan that. I didn't even plan that, but that's really how my entire life goes. I try to use my monitor. Kaput. It's so over. It's over. Real. It magically starts working. We are so back, actually, like we never left. So if you want an explanation of what that meme means, it's literally what you just witnessed in real time. Okay. Start recording. Everybody say hi. Say hi to YouTube while I drink some water. I need some water. Trying to stay hydrated. Someone said, do you watch Emma Chamberlain? I did. I would still. I don't have a reason not to. But I used to really, really, really like her videos. Somebody said, I don't mean to prod, but was there a reason you moved out of Texas? I was really just like, what if I just moved out of Texas? Okay. One of the most powerful people in Hollywood, which is a descriptor that I've never actually seen anybody apply to Ryan Murphy, except one article one time. Ryan Murphy keeps getting away with things that at this point you feel like there should have been some sort of repercussions for. For those of you who don't know, Ryan is a writer, producer, creator of television, and among the projects that he's directed, they range from things that are actually good, things I would even I would recommend to people, to things that are so like morally egregious I genuinely can't believe they were greenlit. So today I would like to get into this dichotomy of Ryan Murphy and the honestly crimes against television that he just won't stop committing, despite being called out at this point by multiple groups of people. Yeah, I like that one. That was a good one. Okay, let's get into it. So I know this is like one of my biggest asks for you so far. Who is Ryan Murphy? I promise you probably already know. You probably already know. If you don't know him by name, you can't tell me you've never heard of Glee. Hold on. Pulling up my thingy. Ryan Murphy did this. He did this to the world, which honestly, I thank him for. The memes that respond from Glee are incredible. Hold on, wait, I don't even have this in my outline, but what's my favorite one? There's one I quote to this day. I am going to create an environment. Oh, hold on. Let me get a better picture of this. Is this from Glee or am I tripping actually? Wait, hold on. It would be funny if I'm saying this and I'm actually wrong. No, I'm correct. I am going to create an environment that is so toxic. Funnily enough, that's kind of what I'm here to complain about Ryan Murphy doing, okay? Let's see. This is from Glee though, right? I need to like double check that to make sure that I'm not like... Yes, it's from Glee. Okay, great. If you're like, oh, D'Angelo, I've heard of Glee. I've never watched Glee. Okay, you can't tell me you never heard of Eat, Pray, Love. I don't even know if I would believe you. Yes, Ryan Murphy, Glee fame, also directed Eat, Pray, Love, which I didn't know until recently. It was kind of forbidden knowledge. I never watched this movie particularly, but this is another thing where this just became so culturally dominant. People say to this day, oh, this person's in their Eat, Pray, Love era. Someone said Ryan speaking through his work. Yeah, no. Someone said, what is that? Eat, Pray, Love is an old movie about this woman who goes to find herself and does... Man, I don't know. I ain't never watched this one. Okay, that's fine. You're like, no to Glee, no to Eat, Pray, Love. Have you never heard of American Horror Story? I mean, it's possible that you may not have. I just feel like, you know what? He is one of the most influential people in television. It would be crazy to have even one of these things to your name, let alone multiple, right? Someone said, I knew he did Nip Tuck, but not Eat, Pray, Love. Yeah. Speaking of which, though, I remember when American Horror Story was coming out. As you can see right now, oof, weird picture. As you can see right now, they're apparently on season 12. Oh, people said calling it old hurts. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's address that. I'm sorry. When did Eat, Pray, Love come out? Eat, Pray, Love release date. Okay, hold on. That's fair. That's very fair. It did come out in 2010, not the 80s or whatever. But also, this was 16 years ago, which unfortunately, by my book, does make it an old movie. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make y'all feel old today. I truly am not coming for people today. But yeah, no, this... It's an old movie. It really is, which is wild. People are saying not that old. Hey, to me. But listen. Like, American Horror Story being on season 12 literally indicates everything that is wrong with it. It just, even if the idea was at one point good, there's literally no reason that you could, or there's no way you're actually getting this much longevity out of it. Ryan Murphy, in my opinion, has good ideas. He does, even though he usually gets them from other places. But I don't really think he knows how to make a good show all the way through. And even though I've never watched American Horror Story, Eat, Pray, Love, or Glee, scary things happening back there. I'm glad you can't hear them. Or even some of his other popular shows, like, for example, Nip Tuck, which I remember when that was coming on as well. Scream Queens, which people enjoyed. Ariana Grande is in that briefly, apparently. What I did not realize is that I actually do watch a bunch of Ryan Murphy shows. I didn't know that. In my mind, the contrarian that I am, I'm just like, I'm way too much of a hipster to sit down and watch a Ryan Murphy show. I didn't know that he also makes a bunch of other true crime, real story adjacent stuff that I am quite interested in. So, for example, I watched American Crime Story, or I think that this was American Crime Story, the assassination of Gianni Versace, which is also a Ryan Murphy production. This is about a real incident that happened, multiple real incidents. And I remember having mixed feelings about that show. And then I also watched, or attempted to watch, The Watcher. Because again, this is right up my alley of weird sort of true crime dramatization stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, this is not a good show. And I could not even finish it. I did not get very far into The Watcher. I thought something about it was very off. But I did also watch... Trying to pull up my... Oh, snap. Everything was working except this one link. Hold on. Open link. Okay. I had to, like, copy it. I also watched Feud, Bette and Joan. This is actually one of the shows we're going to talk about later because it's an example of him doing the thing that I really think he needs to stop at this point. He was getting called out by people who were depicted in this show. So I'm like, oh, okay. You're thinking to yourself, well, D'Angelo has watched at least 3 Ryan Murphy shows. No. I've actually watched so many without realizing. Let's see. What is another one that I watched? Hold on, sorry. My outline is acting weird. Like, none of my links are opening. Okay, maybe I have to, like, just copy paste them, even though that's whack and going to make this a little bit longer. I watched the other season of Feud, Truman Capote versus the Swans, which I did not hate, but also has the same issue where you have people who were depicted in this getting called out. And so that's not a good thing. Hold on. 1 second. Just looking at my outline. Oh no, Lord. I've watched so many Ryan Murphy shows without realizing. Okay, no. It wasn't this one specifically that people were calling out, but I apparently also at one point tried to watch Halston. Oh, now my thing's is working. Now my outline's working. And this was yet another live action or yet another dramatization of a real person. But seeing this article right here that says Halston suffers from Ryan Murphy syndrome, at this point I did start realizing that, like, these shows, they're all suffering from the same issue. And it's outlined right here. It says Murphy's got a tendency to torpedo his own shows by going for eye candy and brain death, flattening out any intriguing spikiness by staying relentlessly in the shallow end of the pool. That's exactly what's happening. that's exactly what's happening. Where, like, at one point I did kind of realize, like, this is brain rot content. I've convinced myself that I'm doing something smart by engaging in these real stories about real people, even though I know that they're dramatizations. But this was another one that I couldn't get through because I'm just like, man, this is not good. And then the last one I watched was, or the one that I'm currently in the middle of watching, this actually is not, this is not a dramatization. I just clicked into it because people were saying it reminded them of The Substance, and I watched The Substance and I just needed more, honestly. But I've been watching The Beauty, episode 9. I'm on episode 9. Don't spoil it for me. And I've heard, even in this stream, terrible things about the ending. So I'm not really looking forward to finishing this because I don't think it's going to be a good experience for me. But yeah, we've got that going on. I should have just said, you know what? The Substance was a good movie. I don't need more of this in my life. I shouldn't have trusted Ryan Murphy to provide me any more of that vibe, even though the show is fun thus far. But I worry. Someone said, should I watch it? I'll let you know when I finish. But yeah, imagine being me, somebody with a chip on his shoulder, because you're like, yeah, I don't watch popular television, and then finding out essentially that you have watched not one, not two, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ryan Murphy shows. Actually, you know what's really funny? You're like, wait, you just said 6. The 7th one, I didn't even watch. Somebody just put it on while I was there, which I actually think was really disrespectful. Let's see. I have no idea why, while I was out in public, like actually at a business, I don't want to call anybody out, they had Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story playing on the TV. I kid you not. I'm not making this up. It was really just about Jeffrey Dahmer just on television. And I was sitting there like, is this a normal thing to play in a public setting? I didn't really feel like it was, but because of this, I have also been subjected to multiple episodes of this show, which I did not finish. I did not go home and finish watching that one. And this is another one that's been called out repeatedly for the things it depicts. Someone said, why is he everywhere? Yeah, no, like even in this Instagram post that I pulled, it says right here, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story has officially surpassed 1 billion hours viewed, which is probably true. I really can't overstate how popular Ryan Murphy is. That's the point of this little segment. He's not really just some dude. Like, he's really in it right now and has been for what, decades at this point. So anyways, moving on. Sorry, my stuff is just acting spotty once again. I'm trying, chat. I'm trying. Copy link. Paste a link. Okay, anyways. If I had to sum them up in one sentence, I would say Ryan Murphy's shows are undeniably pretty, as you can see in this screenshot from the beauty, but that he has an over-reliance on shock value. Ryan himself says in an interview a few years ago, describing one of his popular shows, there's something for everybody, and there's something to offend everybody. That's what a hit is. And I so deeply disagree, I guess, fundamentally, with his idea of what makes for good or popular television. But then it's like, what's the point of disagreeing when he is objectively popular? So he must be right on some level. Now, let's start getting into the shows that people were actually mad about. Someone said trashy's the descriptor I'd use. Yeah, no, same. God, chat, I don't even know which one to start with. I have 4 different shows here. We can go with recency bias. The most recent example of Ryan being criticized would be his show Love Story, which is another anthology. This one's depicting JFK Jr. and his relationships and stuff like that. But you have one of the actresses in that coming out and saying, hey, I am a real person, and the way that I was depicted in the show, I actually find to be quite disturbing. Let's see. So, just so we're clear, from this People magazine article, you can see that Ryan Murphy is not actually claiming that the things in his show happened in real life exactly as they're depicted. Each episode opens with a disclaimer, noting that some characters and events have been, quote, dramatized or fictionalized for storytelling purposes, right? This is really key for this video to work. I am not actually arguing anything from a legal perspective. I know that legally you can do this with whatever historical event that you want. You can just make things up, put them in shows for entertainment value if the people you're doing so are public figures and it's not actually like slander, libel, or intended to be such, right? I just think it sucks. It's a really whack thing to do to people, and it's not good. And you can see it working out horribly for the people he's depicting when pulling her up. Someone said, of course, that's also him. Yeah, no, if you've heard about any of this backlash to the love story thing, it's literally just Ryan Murphy being Ryan Murphy. Daryl Hannah, actress, has been in so many things at this point. She is she's depicted in the show Love Story because she had a relationship at one point with, I had it highlighted for y'all. This is a long Wikipedia page. Oh yeah. At one point she had a long-term relationship with John F. Kennedy Jr., right? So makes sense that she's in the show about him. It's worth noting Daryl Hannah is very much still alive. A real person, not a character, right? And when you see the way that they talked about her, it's really off-putting and kind of icky. So in this article, Love Story producers reveal why they didn't contact Daryl Hannah about her role in Ryan Murphy's JFK Jr. series. There's going to be a lot of this, not even like bothering to run stuff by people. And it says, this is the show creators describing this. Daryl Hannah occupies a space where she's an adversary to what you want narratively in the story. But we still try to really show respect to the fact that she does have fluency with this world that this other character doesn't have, etc. And I'm like, Daryl Hannah is not like a character. She's not a plot device. This is a very, very odd and just basically blatant admission that you are villainizing her on some level. And this is what she said in an op-ed after the fact. Let me pull that one up. Someone said adversary. Yeah, the wording of that is like so aggro, man. It's so aggro. So Daryl Hannah, as I believe was her right to do, put out an op-ed saying, how can Love Story get away with this? And she says, actually, I think I saved this entire thing because it's not even that long. She says right here, a dramatized portrayal can become, for millions of viewers, the definitive version of a real person's life. I have generally chosen not to respond to media coverage of me. I've long believed that engaging with distortion often amplifies it, but a recent tragedy exploiting television series about John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette features a character using my name and presents her as me. The choice to portray her as irritating, self-absorbed, whiny, and inappropriate was no accident. Also, her accusing Ryan Murphy of exploiting tragedy, yes. Yes, 100%. When you look at what actually happened to John F. Kennedy and Carolyn Bessette, specifically referencing, hold on, let me pull it up. Carolyn Bessette. Wikipedia. I think the thing is like, hold on. Sorry, I don't know why I can't blame everything on my computer, but I feel like it's acting a little strange. Okay, here we go. If you were to get any singular thing that Ryan Murphy does and he only did it one time, I don't even know if that would be that much of a problem, but his real life shows are almost always about some sort of horrific tragedy, like in this case, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and their sister-in-law dying in this 1999 plane crash. And so, in my opinion, if you are sort of depicting this and profiting off of the story, it is kind of objectively exploiting it on some level. Reading. Someone said, I remember when they died. Oof, that I would have only been one, but that is interesting to think about. Like, do we need stories about this? But I'm not arguing for less art. That's never something I would do. I have to worry sometimes about the intentions of the people creating these things. But anyways, so she brings up the fact that they described her as an adversary to what you want in the story. And she says, storytelling requires tension. It often requires an obstacle, but a real living person is not a narrative device. There's also a gendered dimension to this thinking. Popular culture has long elevated certain women by portraying others as rivals, obstacles, or villains. Isn't it textbook misogyny to tear down one woman in order to build up another? I would have to ask, is that not accurate? I think she's kind of right. You are going to notice where, even though we do actually have some guys who he's done the same thing to, there is 100% a bias here where I mostly have women who are villainized in these stories and just portrayed to be awful, and then they're complaining about it after the fact, and they're like, hey, that's not what happened. Why are you depicting me this way? So I don't think she's wrong about that, personally. Anyway, so she says, the character portrayed in the series is not accurate. I've never used cocaine in my life. I've never hosted cocaine-filled parties. I've never pressured anyone into marriage. I've never desecrated any family heirloom or intruded on anyone's private memorial. I've never planted any story in the press. I never compared Jacqueline Onassis' death to a dog's. It is appalling to me that I even have to defend myself against a television show. These are not creative embellishments of personality. They are assertions about conduct, and they are false. This is insane. I just feel like at the point where I've always wondered this, by the way. Recently, Wuthering Heights has really, really made me think about this. If you are so intent on fictionalizing and dramatizing things, why can you not low-key just come up with an original story? I've always wondered that. Why does everything actually have to be an adaptation? Why do we need to try to have some sort of relevance to either real people or things that happened beforehand? I find this awful. She says, when so many people watch a dramatization that uses a real name, real life consequences follow. In the weeks since the series aired, I have received many hostile and even threatening messages from viewers who seem to believe the portrayal is factual. When entertainment borrows a real person's name, it can impact her reputation. Anyway, she goes on more so to explain the real person that she is and why this is just not okay. I want to use that as an entry point for y'all to see this just happened, but he's been on this timing and it's pretty awful. So let's see. Next, I'm going to go ahead and talk about that Jeffrey Dahmer show, which unfortunately as I said, was subjected to. So I don't really think I have to tell you all much about Jeffrey Dahmer, American serial killer, very, very prominent person, has been the study of interest ever since he did what he did to those people. And of course, we shouldn't even be surprised that Ryan Murphy was like, oh, you know what this sounds like? A great opportunity for a television show. And that's how you get Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. After Monster aired, you had so many people who were related to the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer coming out and saying, I'm pulling their statements. Someone said that one was rough for me. I couldn't get past the first episode. Yeah, for what I saw, it literally wasn't even good. What was the point? What was the actual point? Okay. This is kind of rough. So, pulling this from a Guardian article, Dahmer series creator says the relatives of the victims did not reply to contact efforts. Maybe you shouldn't have made the show, but let's see. Maybe later. Eric Perry, the cousin of Dahmer victim Errol Lindsay, wrote on Twitter that his relatives found out about the series when Netflix released it, and it became their most watched show. Netflix wasn't required to consult the victims' families because the events portrayed a public record, but the way the show was unrolled re-traumatized the bereaved. So, whereas Murphy claims, yes, we did reach out, I'm sorry if I'm more inclined to believe the families of these victims who are like, no, they didn't. And actually, we all just got traumatized again when we saw that number one on Netflix was this very same story. Perry's cousin and Lindsay's sister wrote separately that the show felt harsh and careless. The mother of aspiring model Tony Hughes, who was only 31 when Dahmer murdered him, told The Guardian that the events on the show just didn't happen like that. I don't see how they can do that, said Shirley Hughes, whose son is the subject of an entire episode. I don't see how they can use our names and put stuff like that out there. They can. That's the part that really sucks. I agree with her. I agree with her that it should not be this easy to do, but as The Guardian points out, you can. There's really no sort of framework in place to prevent this. And pulling this other statement. I read through this entire op-ed right here. We won't read the whole thing, just parts, but my brother was murdered by Jeffrey Dahmer. Here's what it was like watching the Netflix show that recreated the emotional statement I gave in court. So the aforementioned Rita Isbell, they recreated this scene using an actress, and she said, "When I saw some of the show, it bothered me, especially when I saw myself. When I saw my name come across the screen and this lady saying verbatim exactly what I said. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought it was me. Her hair was like mine. Excuse me. She had on the same clothes. That's why it felt like reliving it all over again. It brought back all the emotions I was feeling back then. I was never contacted about the show. I feel like Netflix should have asked if we mind or how we felt about making it. They didn't ask me anything. They just did it. I really don't believe, I do not believe Ryan Murphy saying, yeah, we reached out to all of these people. There's many, many more instances of him or his people 100% admitting that they did not reach out to anybody. I could even understand if they gave some of the money to the victims' children, not necessarily their families. She says, I'm old, I'm very, very comfortable, but the victims have children and grandchildren. If the show benefited them in some way, it wouldn't feel so harsh and careless. It's sad that they're just making money off this tragedy. That's just greed. The episode with me was the only part I saw. I didn't watch the whole show. I don't need to watch it. I lived it. I know exactly what happened." Again, kind of circling back to my main point. This is a horrible thing to do to people in the name of good television. Why, again, have we had one of the most tragic, honestly, like egregious popular cases in true crime turned into this that is re-traumatizing people, clearly inaccurate? Like, you can't even pretend like this was for any reason other than greed, as she rightfully pointed out. Someone said the fact that they aren't required to reach out to these people is insane. That should be required. Yeah, no. Someone said, don't you need permission to use someone's likeness, or is that only for celebrities? I think the issue is that everything that's happening and the things that we're describing are public record. They're kind of historical events, essentially, and that is why you can do kind of whatever you want with that. But just because you can doesn't make it right. You know what I mean? Someone said, yeah, I'm not surprised you didn't get anyone to reach out to the victims. Yeah, no. Moving on. Because you would think like, oh, this is a second incident. No, it really, really, really just keeps going on. I'll give you another example before we get into the most complex one. So, Feud, Bette and Joan, as I mentioned, I watched because I was interested in Bette Davis, Joan Crawford, their whole thing. And we talked about this a little bit on stream before. Have y'all ever watched the movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? This is actually such a fascinating film for so very many reasons. I watched it for the first time recently, and man, what's most interesting about the show from a historical standpoint is not just the fact that it's a really good one, but there's rumors that there was some sort of feud between the two main actresses, Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. Now, whether there was or was not really remains to be seen. Hold on, let me... Trying to pull up my outline. Yes. Oh, okay. It's an alleged on-set feud. Yes, they have said things, about each other at one point that were shady or whatever, but Ryan Murphy again was like, yep, it's Ryan Murphy time, and I'm going to make a series about these two women beefing with each other, which, like, at this point, I find so deeply unsurprising, but it's actually not Joan Crawford or Bette Davis who are the ones affected here. They have been deceased for a while. There was actually only one person who was still alive that was depicted in this show because the events in it took place such a long time ago. And she came out and actually tried to sue. Let's see. All right. So Olivia de Havilland, just due to her proximity to one of the actresses in the show, is a real person, right? And she was portrayed in the show by another actress, And they went super, super hard with like, oh, this character, Olivia, was awful. She was like catty and terrible to her sister. And Olivia in her suit said, well, Feud was designed to look like reality, but again, no one consulted her. The only person alive who experienced the events depicted. Murphy admitted as much in an April interview, saying he never contacted her because he, quote, didn't want to intrude. I didn't write Olivia because I didn't want to be disrespectful and ask her, did this happen? Did that happen? What was your take on that? Ryan. That is literally such a cowardly answer. Oh no, I didn't reach out to make sure we weren't being disrespectful because I didn't want to be disrespectful. Brother, who do you think you're fooling at this point? But it said she takes issue with Feud's references to her relationship with her sister. The character of her in the show refers to her sister as the B word, who she said she would never do that, honestly. Pulling 1 second. Sorry, I'm trying to go through my outline, make sure we're on top, make sure we're on point with this. Okay, yes, the court battle. And she wound up losing this suit, which, again, I am not here to offer you an opinion on. Should real people who are depicted in historical things be able to prevent you from creating artwork using their likeness? Multiple things can be true. I'm not saying she should have won this lawsuit. I'm just saying right here, the way that she was treated over this was honestly foul. So after the suit was thrown out, Murphy says the ruling was a victory for the creative community. He says it gives all creators the breathing room necessary to continue to tell important historical stories inspired by true events. Buddy, you were doing the thing that Daryl Hannah said you were doing, which was being misogynist, by taking this one woman and being like, oh, she had this nasty catty relationship with this other woman. This is the thing that the law is allowing you to do. It's the breathing room necessary to continue to be a misogynist, man. And so the courts also said whether a person portrayed in one of these expressive works is a world-renowned film star, a living legend, or a person no one knows, she or he does not own history. And I'm just like, this sucks. I get what you're saying, but this sucks. Nor does she or he have the legal right to control, dictate, approve, disapprove, or veto the creator's portrayal of actual people. That's literally what the judge is saying. So I think part of what bothers me about this so much is it's not enough to just be like, yes, legally we can get away with this. It's very much this energy of like, sit down, shut up. We can do whatever we want. You literally have no power here. Should have thought about that before becoming a public figure. And the only thing that people are actually asking for is like, hey, can you stop lying about me? Can you stop making me seem like I was crazy in the show or like hateful towards my own family members? Can you stop misrepresenting actual crimes in which my loved ones were murdered? I really hate everything that this represents, honestly. Reading. Someone said someone make a movie about Ryan Murphy. While I was researching all this, I did multiple times see like someone should just pull a Ryan Murphy on Ryan Murphy, since apparently it's a free-for-all. Why doesn't somebody just make a movie about him, in which he's the worst person ever? But you know what that would be called? A documentary. Anyways, moving on. I think that's what I had to say about Bette and Joan. Oh yeah, okay, so again, morality, legality, not the same thing. I'm not the law, but you got to stop doing this to people. This sucks so bad. And then the next one I want to talk about is yet another season of Monsters. Ryan does this a lot with his anthology series where one season will be about this group of people and then the next season will be a completely different group of people. So I guess Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't enough for people, and now we have to talk about the Menendez brothers. I'm telling you right now, it gets a little bit complicated here, but I need you to work with me. So, Monsters, Menendez. Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story is about another crime case in which these two individuals are currently, wait, hold on. I realize I need to give a disclaimer. I need to give a really big disclaimer. Disclaimer before I talk about this. People who actually do research into true crime cases would very easily be able to provide a lot more insight than anything you're going to get from me, because whereas I do tangentially occasionally follow these things, I absolutely do not know the details about this Menendez story. Me calling it a story is literally indicating what's wrong with everything Ryan Murphy's doing. Case, a very real thing that happened with real people, right? But I'll tell you this right now. Someone said leave these men alone. That's where I'm at right now. Regardless of the facts of this case or whatever, this is another thing where you have these people who are in jail for murder, but then also a lot of alleged abuse that these people went through. And I don't understand what kind of person thinks to themselves, even though these two men are still alive. And even though this is a complex story that has all of these moving parts, including allegations of them being abused, I'm still going to turn this into a television series. And he did it in a way that people found to be really, really uncomfortable. I remember people talking about this really sharply. I'm just pulling a random comment about this, but somebody said, I think where people are mad is that Ryan and the writers portrayed the brothers as having an incestual relationship, and they also were mad about a few other things that they found to be uncomfortable. Now, you're going to get a lot of people arguing about like, oh no, Ryan wasn't doing that. Oh no, he was doing that. But I'm telling you right now, he absolutely was leaning into this weird like sexualization angle, as he quite often does with his shows. One sec. I'm trying to make sure that I'm pulling the right source. You can say whatever you want about like, oh, this was his intention, this was not his intention. This is an actual literal poster. This is an actual literal poster for the show depicting these two brothers played by these two actors. This is so weird. I'm telling you right now, it does not matter what did or did not happen. Who is actually greenlighting this? You know what I mean? It's disgusting. I really can't believe like you can legally do these things. And so obviously, you get the same thing happening yet again, where the family's coming out and saying, oh my God, we have no idea what's going on here. This is a response from like 24 members of the Menendez's extended family. We are virtually the entire extended family of Eric and Lyle Menendez. We are 24 strong, and today we want the world to know we support Eric and Lyle, and essentially saying it's a phobic, gross, anachronistic, serial episodic nightmare that's not only riddled with mistruths and outright falsehoods, but ignores a bunch of revelations, calling it a grotesque shock drama. He apparently did all this research, but then he relied on things that were debunked, etc. Again, this is where I'm telling you, like, I don't know the details of the case. I find it to be actually a little bit overwhelming, but I can agree, obviously, that the fact that you're even trying to make this show right now, you're not like helping anybody by doing this. If the people who are depicted in this, their family members are coming out and telling you this is wrong. Also, the people who are depicted in it. Lyle Menendez put out a very similar response, saying the show was full of lies about him and his brother. Murphy shapes this horrible narrative through vile and appalling. Oh, wait, sorry. Do I have the wrong one? My bad. Eric Menendez. I apologize. Eric Menendez said a similar thing. Like, the show is full of blatant lies about him and his brother, saying essentially Murphy shapes the horrible narrative through vile and appalling character portrayals of Lyle and me and disheartening slander. Someone said something is wrong with Ryan Murphy because, No, I want y'all to know right now, on this channel, I definitely go off on this channel, I go off of vibes a lot, and I'm a proud vibe reader, but I'm literally just going off of everybody's vibe. We're all picking up this weird energy at this point. Let's see. I'm trying to show you this one comment right here. someone on the television subreddit 2 years ago, just seeing that there was pushback against this Menendez story, was saying, let me guess, the brothers are wildly sexualized, given highly homoerotic scenes, and implied to have deviant sexual appetites. I haven't even seen the show, but I do know Ryan Murphy. And someone's like, dead on. Just saying all these things. Don't forget the failed landing. It's not a Murphy production until the ending fails to make any sense. He does this. And it's very odd. I find it to be incredibly harmful and strange. Now, I'm going to open the floor for a second. If you are actually familiar with the details of the Menendez brothers case, did I get anything wrong just now? Because I'm not trying to do a true crime deep dive. I just want to make sure I'm not like butchering details, because that's really, really easy to do with true crime, which is part of the reason I don't cover it. If I get something wrong in a video, which I don't think happens too often, but it's like, oh, I messed up the year of when Sabrina Carpenter released this album, I don't feel bad about that. But if I'm in a video essentially saying information that makes it sound like somebody should or should not be in jail, I don't want to do that. So I think I got this right. Someone said that was correct. Someone said, nope, I didn't get it wrong. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure. Someone said, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure for real, for real. You're chilling. Thank you. Thank you, people. I appreciate. Yeah, no, I 100% agree that this is unethical, greedy, the same thing. Someone said no gross mischaracterizations. Chat, I'm literally just trying to make sure that I'm not pulling a Ryan Murphy when I talk about this. It's not hard to just do a little bit of temperature check and be like, hey, does what I'm saying sound super wrong or weird or whatever? Someone said, yeah, no, okay, thank you. I appreciate all of these things. Okay, that's all I'm going to say, though. I will say, if you know more about this case, you will also understand why I'm not going to get into any more details about it, because it is a lot, obviously. But yeah, going over my outline, talking about who the heck is Ryan Murphy, Eat, Pray, Love, Glee. Oh, did I even... Pulling him back up. But yeah, ultimately, I think Ryan is just the most prominent example of just because you can doesn't mean you should. One of my mother's favorite mantras, one of her many favorite mantras, just because you can do something does not actually mean you have full, like, it's going to be a beneficial thing for you or for anybody, but it is obviously incredibly beneficial. 1 billion watch hours on Netflix, multiple cultural resets because your shows are so big and so popular because you're so deeply unethical about this. He is essentially employing the same like capitalistic profit over everything slop mentality that I feel like has just been completely ruining TV, film, video games, everything I ever love and have loved since I was a child. So yeah, all the beef for Ryan Murphy and the things that he's doing, man. But yeah, looking at this outline, who's Ryan Murphy? We talked about Eat, Pray, Love, Glee, American Horror Story. Briefly mentioned Nip Tuck, Scream Queens. We looked at the ones I actually watched. Versace, The Beauty, The Watcher, Dahmer, Capote, Betty vs. Joan, Halston, which I could not even get through. I gave my personal take, which is that his stuff looks pretty, but it relies on shock value too much. But then we moved into talking about these real cases. We looked at what Daryl Hannah said about the JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette love story thing, that despite Ryan's disclaimers, this is obviously still a distressing thing to be lied about and portrayed as a villain, which she believes is misogynistic, and I would have to agree with. We talked about the Jeffrey Dahmer story and how the families of the victims are coming out and saying they were re-traumatized, which is insane. It's just re-traumatizing people with television for no reason. Well, for reasons of profit. And one of the victim's sisters who said they recreated her testimony, which was obviously hard for her to watch. We talked about Bette and Joan and one of the actresses suing over her betrayal, in which they tried to villainize her and her relationship with her sister, essentially saying that was, and how that was like thrown out by the court, and then Ryan and the judges were being all nasty to her. And I'm just like, legality aside, surely you understand how this is harmful for just people's feelings. And then lastly, we talked about the Menendez brothers and how he's turning their story into weird shock value nonsense that's rubbing people the wrong way. And then I think the crazy thing about this is, honestly, that's literally just 4 shows that I pulled that I happen to be aware of. the details a little bit because I remember the backlash happening, or I myself was familiar with the thing he was depicting. I can't stress this enough. Ryan Murphy, Wikipedia. Why can't I go to his oh, there we go. Okay. Filmography, television. Brother, he's showing no signs of slowing down. I can't stress this enough. He's still going. Yes, we've had Love Story. Yes, we've had all of these things. But like this specific live act or this specific retelling real stories that involve real living people and getting all these things wrong, there's really no sort of reason that he would stop, especially when even things like this he would just see, as he said, as a sign that his show is a hit. So I think that this is really disturbing. Also, I saw at one point, I can't even pull Feud. The second season of this was apparently supposed to focus on Princess Diana, I think. Yeah. Initially planned with a focus on the relationship between Charles and Diana, the second season was supposed to be titled Charles and Diana. Then it got renamed, and then it got scrapped in 2018. He's saying later he's open to resume work on it. Buddy, don't do it. Just don't do it. I promise you there's literally no earthly reason that Ryan Murphy needs to get his hands on this story and do whatever he's gonna do or butcher when it comes to telling. Like, stop. I'm not gonna watch any more of these shows personally. I really wish we would just stop engaging with all of this because, like, his docudrama is just not it, man. It's just not it. Anyway, somebody said he produced Pose. He only produced it. That's why it's almost good. Yeah, no, he definitely has stuff to his name that is like understandable or not nearly as unethical as some of these other things. But you're going to give me a headache, man. You're literally going to give me a headache. Someone said leave that lady alone. Leave literally all of these real people alone. Please stick to stupid TV shows about fake people for the love of God. Anyways, anything else? Anything else that we got before I wrap? Because honestly, I was on topic the entire time. I don't think I got distracted even once. Someone said, when will real event stories be limited to genuine documentaries? No, literally. Someone said, where's his empathy? I guess, I don't know. This is more so about how quickly can we make another trip to the bank, honestly. Excuse me. Someone said, if he unfortunately does make something new, we need the bingo cards. Dude, even the beauty, as interesting as that is still also not his original idea. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with adapting things that are not original. The beauty, Wikipedia. But like even this, despite saying created by Ryan Murphy, it is, obviously. It's also still just based on this comic book. And I'm like, buddy, for the love of God, you gotta be more original just a little bit. Also, I realize I know how to end this one. I just kind of want to give you like a peek into I'll leave you with this statement from Ryan that really gives us a peek into his twisted mind and how he sees what he's doing. Because if you think to yourself like, oh, this is kind of evil vibes or whatever, no, Ryan actually thinks this is the best thing that could possibly happen to all these people. What are your thoughts on the statement released by the Menendez family where 24 people told him that he was just making things up? I think it's a lot of faux outrage, says Ryan in an interview with Netflix. I think that this show is the best thing that has happened to the Menendez brothers in 30 years in prison. They've said as much. They've told lawyers as much. I think it's very difficult to have your lives splashed all over the world, but I think the show is doing a really wonderful job of having people talk about the case, talk about their innocence or their guilt, talk about whether there should have been another trial, should they be freed, etc. It's informed an entire generation about that case and launched millions of conversations about sexual abuse. The show doesn't shy away from any of these topics. It brings with it a fair share of controversy, but I also don't even think they've seen it from what I understand. And I'm just like trying to spin this into, actually, no, I'm helping the Menendez brothers, and we're having important conversations about abuse and things. Even though I have quite literally seen people say as much, like, no, actually, I did watch that show and I did come away with more sympathy for these people, or it inspired me to learn more. Can I just say, at what cost? Do we actually need Ryan Murphy profiting off of this in order to have these conversations? I don't really think so. He says, more than that, I think male sexual abuse is something that's really not been talked about a lot in our culture. Certainly not then when these trials happened, and certainly not even now. But I think people are talking about that, and I find that to be gratifying and good. So if you're wondering how he sleeps at night, it's literally by just saying, I did such a good job today slandering people and their families, and now I can rest easy knowing that we're all having important conversations because of me and the things that I'm creating. Someone said this energy is terrible. I hate seeing this quote. I'm like genuinely upset hearing it. It's upset. It's upset being manipulated in real time. Upsetting. I would agree it's upsetting recognizing someone's attempting to manipulate you. It's literally like, hold on, wait, okay. This is a jump, by the way. But is this not quite literally this? Is this not like Darvo stuff? Deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender? I feel like this is exactly what's happening. Where you're just like, oh, you're mad at something that I did. Actually, you're the problem because you're faux outraged, and actually, low key, I'm doing a good thing and I'm a victim because I'm trying to have good conversations right now and people are getting mad at me. Why? He asks. The Darvo of it all, I think, is what is so deeply distressing or upsetting, or why you might even feel a little bit triggered by this statement, because people do this in many other contexts and I hate it. But yeah, that's all I have to say. All right. Someone said, it's this Darvo stuff, man. The more I looked into this, because what I thought initially was like, oh, I know that he does this. He probably doesn't address it just so he can keep getting away with it. But seeing every single time he had something about like, oh, well, we reached out and no one said anything. Lie. Oh, well, actually, I'm helping people. Lie. I'm very much over it. Anyways, everybody say bye. I'm going to record an outro. That's enough of that topic for real. Say bye, but don't leave though, because I still have more stuff I would like to talk about today. I think it's a lovely Saturday. It's a chill Saturday. Someone said they didn't say anything because he didn't reach out. Exactly. All right, everybody say bye right now. All right, yes. Anyways, that is truly all I have to say about Ryan Murphy. If we never see a Ryan Murphy docudrama happening to us again, it'll be too soon. But yeah, hopefully you never have to think about this topic ever again. I know I will certainly try not to. And I actually recorded this video live right here on YouTube, where I stream quite frequently, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Unless I don't, in which case I'm just, asleep. But yeah, hopefully I see you in the next stream or the next video. And if not, it doesn't really matter. Okay, bye. Okay, great. Wrapping it. Stop recording. We're good. We're Gucci. Nice. Yeah, no, that was a good one, bro. I've been wanting to talk about this one for a while. I think back when y'all can stop saying bye now. I'm not recording anymore. Back when the Menendez brothers one was first released, which was actually a couple years ago, I wanted to make a video about it, and I might have. No, I don't think I did. But I didn't realize at that time how big of a problem this was, like encompassing or encapsulating multiple different times where Ryan Murphy has done this, just hopping from tragedy to tragedy. And when I started looking into this after the Kennedy show, where people were talking about that, and I was like, isn't this exactly what happened with the Menendez brothers? And I was like, isn't this what people were saying about the Jeffrey Dahmer show? And then that's when I realized, like, dude, He literally just keeps getting away with this. It's insane. It's insane. Someone said that was heavy. Yes, and I apologize a little bit. It was heavy, but don't worry. We'll talk about some more lighthearted things today, right now, actually, on the stream. Stick around. We'll improve. We'll improve. Can I talk about something complex with you all? This is a complicated topic. It's interesting to me because I am someone said, what's going on? I'm late. No, don't worry. You're here at the right time. We stopped talking about one thing and I'm starting something new that nobody else knows yet. So sit tight. Let's talk about something complex. I am, as a, somebody who puts out things online, public figure, whatever. I'm sorry. That's a really cringe title, but just somebody who has a public relationship with the internet and also has had a lot of issues regarding like mental health and has been public about my mental health struggles and stuff like that. I'm always interested when celebrities talk about mental health, right? And that's why recently I was quite interested to see Doja Cat. I'm telling y'all right now, this is like premier example of please hold space for multiple things being true. But Doja Cat recently talking about BPD, that being borderline personality disorder, and how, again, people are like reacting to it in many different ways, many of which are quite disheartening. Doja Cat reveals she's struggling with borderline personality disorder. It caught up with me. I've been in therapy for years now, saying she's proud of herself, also describing it as agonizing at one point. And you can imagine that people were being very normal about this online, as they always are whenever celebrity mental health is brought up. It definitely wasn't people being ableist all over the internet. Yes, it was. I think right off the bat, someone said this, thank you, touching on this is very complex. It is very complex. Here's one thing I'd like to say right off the bat. Like, there's truly just so much of how to word this. There's just not an excuse, and I'm not here to make an excuse just because I'm acknowledging that Doja Cat was diagnosed at one point with a personality disorder. One thing that really seems to bother people online is when celebrities ever say that, oh, I have this thing that I'm struggling with my mental health or whatever, and then people online will get really, really angry and upset. Like, well, that doesn't explain why you were doing things that were racist, or that doesn't explain why, you were doing all this edgelord stuff that people complain about with Doja Cat, which she has absolutely done things that need to get criticized. Just, I agree that it's not an excuse for sure. I think the thing is, what we saw recently with like the if I can use the BAFTA situation, it's not a direct analog. Borderline personality disorder, Tourette's, they're not the same thing. What I'm saying is, when you see people with mental conditions and then you get behavior that winds up affecting other people, you see how quickly communication breaks down. And that's what I feel like is happening right now with a lot of this Doja Cat discourse of people struggling to figure out, well, does that mean she's okay? Does that mean she's not okay? Should we forgive her? Should we be okay with the things that she did that were bad? I really just wish people could hold space for multiple things being true, where like, yeah, Doja Cat's responsible for her actions. Someone said, did she say it was an excuse? No, she didn't say it was an excuse that I saw. Multiple things can be true. She's done things that need to get called out, and we should continue to do so. Also, she happens to have a disorder that can totally affect the way that people act and even the actions that they do. I think what people really struggle with a lot, and I know I'm just speaking about myself, not Doja Cat, is like, everybody is responsible for their actions, period. I am always responsible for my actions. Sometimes my actions are just the product of an illness that I'm still, so like anything that happens in the aftermath of them, for me specifically referring to like depression and anxiety in my case, yeah, I've absolutely done things and said things that are wrong and bad, or I will let things like wither, or I'll neglect things, and it is on me. It's on me to take care of these things. It's just also like, if I was well, I wouldn't have done those things, I wouldn't have committed those actions. Truly, if I was as well as I could be and as I wanted to be so desperately, the actions that I was responsible for, they honestly never would have occurred. That's not an excuse. That's literally just not an excuse. Someone says she wasn't excusing her behavior. Yeah, no, I don't really like this narrative of like, oh, well, because Doja Cat said that she's struggling and that this is agonizing for her, it's like, well, screw you, because you were in those, chat rooms talking to racists or whatever people were doing. Oh, people say this a lot too, by the way. They say this a lot too, by the way, of mental health disorders. Well, they can't make you racist or whatever. I struggle with that one a lot as a black person. Hearing people say mental health disorders can't make you racist. I'm here today, the person constantly pointing out when things are racist and never letting people make excuses for it, to tell you that they can. And I don't think we're actually going to move into any sort of productive space until we acknowledge that, honestly. I don't think you're going to find many people agreeing with me publicly that, like, mental health conditions can make you do racist things. They can. They are literally not revealing some sort of latent racism within you. They're not doing that. They can make you act in ways that are counter to your belief systems. Actually, a lot of times what's really awful is, by you not being a racist person, just the nature of the disorder can make you be the opposite of yourself, which in that case would be racism and stuff like that. So, like, yes, they can. And that doesn't like mean that racism is a thing that nobody should be calling out. That doesn't mean that like this is an excuse for it or whatever, but I just feel like we would be so much further along if we say some of the behaviors that people exhibit when, they're in the throes of a condition or whatever might also be racist, and these people would not do these things if they did not have the condition per se. That's also not, that doesn't feel like an excuse to me personally. And again, that's coming from me who, like, every day I'm hopping on the internet and being like, I think that thing is right there. I'm going to call that racist because that's what it is. Like, and I think because people always need there to be like a bad guy in so many cases, that's why they can't really hold space for like multiple things being true. Honestly, any scenario that you have, I call this the Twilight effect, because I don't even have, I mean, you could call it like tribalization or whatever, but I call it the Twilight effect because it's more fun. You're always going to have a Team Edward versus Team Jacob. Always. No matter what issue you're talking about on the internet, you're going to have a Team Edward versus Team Jacob. When you actually read Twilight, when you actually watch these movies, you realize that there's only one correct team in Team Edward versus Team Jacob. Team neither of them. Team, why is this a team scenario? Team, there should never have been teams in the first place, because this is just a bad thing and you don't actually have to take a side. Now that's a goofy analogy, right? But I think it makes it really clear how I feel about so many things that happen on the internet. Someone said they both suck. They literally both suck, and we don't have to take sides. We should be having a more nuanced discussion about the actual problems with the romance in Twilight. But instead of that, it's just like, oh, A-B. Now, that is completely okay to do with a TV, or it's not TV series yet, even though I think they're trying to make a TV series. That's completely okay to do with a movie. That is completely okay to do with a book. Books and movies, they don't actually owe us morality, I feel. But taking this same approach with like real life scenarios and thinking you have to pick, quote unquote, a side for everything in so many cases where there literally are not sides, I think that's why people really like latch on to things and refuse to let them go, because they're like, well, I've chosen my side. And I'm like, you don't have to choose a side. Honestly, anything that Doja Cat's done that's worth calling out should be called out. we don't have to go back and give her a pass for anything that she's done. And I'm not going to do that. That seems really pointless to do. Simultaneously, everything that she said here is right. Honestly, saying that it's an agonizing thing for her, saying that, you know what I mean, she's been working on this for years and she's proud of herself, but is still struggling. You have to continue like living. I think people encounter scenarios like this where it's like, oh, I don't like this person and they might have a point, and then they just start like imploding. And I'm like, no, you just have to move forward. You have to move forward. Anyways, reading chat. Those are my initial thoughts on this. Do y'all have any thoughts? I'm opening the floor. Someone said the only correct sexuality in Twilight is baseball. That's accurate. Someone said D'Angelo's open about his lack of professional opinion. Well, I would like you to tell me what I got wrong, for sure. That's part of the reason I do this on the live chat. Someone said anyone with the brain knows he's not giving a professional opinion. Yeah, no, I don't think I diagnosed anybody with anything or made any of this. Someone said, nah, F this. Everyone is responsible for their actions. You can get help and still be held accountable. Okay. This is a pretty good example, actually. I'm going to use your comment as an example. Nah, F this. Everyone is responsible for their actions. You can get help and still be held accountable. What are you saying F this to? Can I ask, like, what about that is contrary to literally anything I just said? Because I agree with you. This is an example of the Twilight thing where, like, you have picked a side and you're like, nah, screw this. I'm like, no, you're right. I'm not, like, disagreeing with you because I might have said something that you didn't like. You know what I mean? I am genuinely actually asking about, like, what is inconsistent with anything that I've just said. Somebody said not you. Okay, maybe. Okay, if you're not talking about me, that's fine. That's the thing that's really tricky on the live chat is like I can only like catch. A lot of times people will have discussions in the live chat that are like context dependent, and I don't have the context for all of those because I can't talk and read at the same time. So if you didn't mean me, that's fine, and I appreciate that. Which is also why I'm not being mean to you. I try not to be mean to people in my live chat, and I don't use their usernames because I never want to single somebody out when I'm the one who didn't understand. Someone said all I'm saying is don't say definitive statements about mental health when you're not in the field. Okay. For like, yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think I've done that. I'm just trying to make sure. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not misunderstanding. Reading chat. Yeah, so I don't think anyone watching this is suspecting medical men. Yeah, no, this is definitely not like I'm diagnosing Doja Cat with this and we're going to do an analysis of all of her behaviors and I'm literally just bringing up a general point about online discussions about mental health. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure. Somebody said you didn't say anything that I don't think I said anything wrong. That's all. Reading chat. Someone said D'Angelo didn't say anything definitive though. Yeah, no, I really don't think I did. Again, I don't have borderline personality disorder. I do have multiple disorders, and so I can make definitive statements about how they affect me personally, but that's just me, honestly. Reading chat. Someone said about racism and mental health. Yes, you did, but it's whatever. It's lost in translation. Okay, so are you taking issue with my statement essentially that like when people say mental health issues can't make you racist or whatever? Yes, they can. If that's the one that's bothering you, then I could be more specific in my wording and say more specifically, like, mental health disorders 100% can result in actions that are contrary to things that you would believe if you didn't have the disorder. I mean, that's like, I don't know what there is to argue against, because I, like, you know, it's just true, honestly, I'm not even talking about like any one specific thing. I don't think I said like BPD can do this to you or this one specific one can do this to you. Mental health disorders can make you act in ways that are contrary to your personal beliefs and opinions. I know this because it's happened. Someone said which disorders. Well, if I start getting into which disorders, that's when it will be really easy for you to go through and start saying, well, no, you're wrong about this and you're wrong about that. But I'm just explaining. Someone said they can manifest with racism. Yeah, no. Someone said not makes you racist can make you do racist things. Well, yes. Well, okay, hold on a second. Yes, you're correct. But then that's a really tricky thing too, because a lot of times I'm trying to unpack the difference between doing like when there's no sort of disorder involved. I think a lot of times people try to say like, oh yeah, I did a racist thing, but I'm not racist. And I usually don't let that fly. But no, it's not that. It essentially changes your personality. Just you can act in ways that you personally do not rock with, which would essentially mean you're not racist. You know what I mean? Someone said it was just the wording. It wasn't literal enough. Yeah, sorry. But like, that's the difficult thing though about like talking about things like this online where it's not going to be perfect. And a lot of times when things come out imperfectly, again, you're met with like, not in this chat, which is nice, but like you're met with like rage or despair. And that's understandable when so many of these things are like demonized by the people who are talking about them. But that's honestly not what I'm trying to do here at all, honestly. Reading chat. Someone said chat and stream are like a Socratic seminar we're all discussing loosely. Yeah, no, again, I'm literally just sharing my perspective over here. I'm just sharing my perspective. Someone said I was terrified as soon as I heard we were going to talk about borderline personality disorder because so many people have horrible ideas about it and just hate us on sight. Yeah. Well, I hope I didn't disappoint you because I certainly do not have any hatred in my heart for people struggling with any sort of mental health conditions, including personality disorders or whatever. I don't see that as anybody's fault for sure. Somebody said I love these streams where we can disagree and talk about it in real time. Yeah, no. Nothing can like make you racist except being racist. Now, doing things that are racist when you're acting in ways that might be contrary to what you would do if you did not have a mental health disorder. I'm sure I could have said that the first time. And I guess I'm sorry for not saying it in those exact words. But again, like, I am live. I'm not going off of a script. And you know what I mean. So it's not at all. The way you've spoken about it is refreshingly respectful. I try, man, honestly. Because, like, I wind up getting slandered a lot, too, just by nature of having any sort of like mental health condition and people saying awful things about the things that you have, and it's just like, oh, what? I don't like that. So that's why I try not to be that way for anybody, honestly. Someone said, would you ever consider covering Gabby, her recent Patreon chats are discussing? No, probably not. You're not the first person to ask, and I understand why you're asking, but nah, probably not gonna do it. Someone said, I think it's important to understand the differences between racism versus prejudice versus discrimination when talking about things like this. Well, okay, I agree. Now we're getting to a level of nuance that I don't even know if a stream is a good platform for, but I would agree. Doing things that are racist or being racist and being prejudiced truly against somebody or discriminating against someone aren't all the exact same thing. And that's them seeming like the same thing is why you get a lot of this confusion and stuff like that. Someone said people really don't like people with borderline personality disorder. It makes it harder to deal with. The way you're discussing is respectful, in my opinion, as somebody with it. We can try. We can try to not be another horrible place for people on the internet who are already dealing with things that may be difficult for them. That's truly all I can. But no, you know what? I'm happy with what I said. Just kind of reading the discussion. I don't think I like angered anybody or excused racism. And those are the main two things that were important to me not to do. But like the thing is like nobody, this is never how discussions on the internet actually go though. Someone said people are pro mental health until it gets ugly. Oh no, that's true. Like my ability to sit here and calmly see somebody say something that I perceive as disagreeing with me and just kind of ask, like, what do you mean? Or what part is not gelling? And then having that same person come back and being like, oh, that's not actually what I meant. And I'm like, oh, sorry. That's usually, it's just like everybody is rightfully upset about things like racism and ableism and stuff. And then some people are just being racist and ableist. And so you can't ever really have a conversation about stuff like this. And that is why I like this stream. I genuinely see this as like a safe place where I would hope that while watching, you're just not going to assume the worst from me. And you would at least give me a chance to explain things, which I have gotten at every single point. There has not been a single point during my streams where I felt like everybody in the chat was being unfair or whatever, which is nice. I've earned a little bit of leeway on the internet, and I try to use it to talk about things that I don't think we could get away with talking about calmly anywhere else. That's also why a lot of times I don't talk about things like this in my actual videos, because I can't even explain to you how infuriating that is, low-key. I can't even explain to you how infuriating it is. Listen, I try not to talk about this too much, because complaining when your job is easy is not a good thing to do. But saying something in a YouTube video slightly clumsily and then getting a comment section full of people, well-meaning people, who are like, oh my god, I can't believe you could be this wrong about that, when literally if I just had the ability to like in real time be like, oh, I see what you're saying, and that's actually not what I meant, and I shouldn't have said it that way because that was not even a reflection of what I actually believe. It's so difficult. It's so... I'm sorry. I'm on YouTube, a YouTuber complaining about being a YouTuber and saying it's hard. It's so hard dealing with this day in and day out, or it was. I'm mostly referring to my older experience making videos. It was so... God, it was so annoying. But that's why, honestly, I've really been enjoying doing it here, where I can say things and people come in and they're like, oh, actually, huh? And then I'm like, oh yeah, no, wait, that does sound kind of, no, that's not what I meant. And then we can move on without you essentially being left in the ether wondering if I have these really crazy out there outre baroque opinions on things that don't even seem consistent with other things that I've said. I honestly think more influencers should do things the way that I do it. Okay, I have a big head. I'm talking myself up right now, but like a lot of y'all would benefit from a little bit of back and forth with your audience where you can come away with more understanding. You being somebody initially saying like, oh, I got a little bit worried when D'Angelo said he's going to start talking about borderline personality disorder and Doja Cat, because you're expecting something bad, which is understandable, but then being able to reason through it and I can explain every point of what I was trying to say, and then we move on from the stream and we're all good. I honestly wish more creators would do that instead of like these weird little comments here and there that you can't ever get more clarification on, and you can't just respond to everything that everybody's saying in the comment section, or you could, but you'd be spending your whole life correcting your own videos. It's just so much easier to like hash it out in real time. Also, someone said, I was just watching the videos at first, but I checked out the streams and I keep coming because the discussion aspect feels so enriching. No, dude, I get so much out of it. It's literally healing. It's literally healing. Also though, I take the same approach in real life. A lot of us could stand to take the same approach in real life. The thing is, now, I'm not trying to apply this to all, I'm not trying to apply this to all relationships. I'm not in every relationship. But a lot of times, people are unwilling to do what we're doing in a relationship. Now, this has turned into relationship advice that no one asked for. Way too often have I seen people just fall apart because nobody wants to sit down and be a little bit uncomfortable for a second and work through an uncomfortable topic and then come away from it with a better and deeper understanding of each other, which is actually a really beautiful thing that can happen. Instead, people have these little like micro disagreements and they're just like, oh, that thing that you just did kind of felt like I stubbed my toe on your behavior, but I'm not going to say anything about it because I don't want to nag. And then it happens again. And there's this little miscommunication. And you're just like, is somebody taking shots at me or am I just not really getting the full... it builds up and you keep stubbing your toe until you get to the point where you're like, you broke my foot at this other person. And this other person's like, what? And then they're like, well, that's crazy that we're talking about, I don't know what this is now about feet. Crazy that we're talking about broken feet here because you actually broke my foot. And then the other person starts coming at you super hard about like, well, you didn't do this thing and you didn't do this thing. I also really do not like it when people start whipping out the words never and always. The thing people don't realize is I actually genuinely do not argue with people. Someone said hard conversations are healthy. Yeah, I just realized that this is one of my unpopular opinions I've never actually shared online. Okay. I don't argue with people in relationships. And I actually have incredibly, from my perspective, healthy relationships with people. I don't do it. I don't fight. I completely refuse to engage in fighting or like raise voices. I think people say a lot, at least in my life, people say, oh, it's a sign of a healthy relationship that now and then you're going to fight with each other. No, now and then I'm going to disagree with a partner because we're not the same person. And I would very much hope, actually that there are many things that you would disagree with me on. Otherwise, that would just be really boring if we all have the same opinion on everything all the time. But that quite literally, from my perspective, never needs to mean that we need to argue about anything. And when I say argue, I'm talking about there needs to be like high emotions coming into this, or like anger or raised voices, or that never needs to happen. Never. Honestly, you never need to raise your voice at me if we're in a relationship. Not even once. Not over anything ever. You don't need to be so angry with me that you're fuming. I genuinely believe that there is no discussion that's ever justified into turning into like the rage that some people say is okay, and then you move past it as a couple and then you're fine and you're stronger together because you got past that crazy like fight. And I'm just like, no, we literally could have discussed this like adults, even if like we were a little on edge during the discussion because we're probably going off of a bunch of past stuff where this did turn into a fight. It never has to happen. It never has to happen. Someone say yelling is a big old trigger for me. Yeah, no. Someone say I 100% agree with this. Don't like denigrate me for any reason, honestly, is how I feel. Because I'm not going to do it either. That's the thing. Like, out of respect for my partner, I'm honestly literally not going to yell at you. I'm not going to like call you names. I'm also going to work really hard not to be like, oh, you always do this, to mischaracterize you on purpose because I'm upset. I just find all these things to be things that you don't have to do. I would much rather just have a conversation. But because I have that stance of how I treat other people, I also have like zero tolerance for people doing the same thing with me. And it hasn't always worked out well. But honestly, when it does work out well, it does work out well. But yeah, that's my unpopular relationship opinion. Disagreements are part of being two different people, but actually fighting, you never need to fight over anything ever. It shouldn't happen, honestly. Not even once. Someone say yelling is so triggering. I avoid YouTubers that yell too much. Because why are you triggering my stress? I can get loud in my streams. Sometimes I'm editing my stuff back and I'm like, D'Angelo, move away from the mic. Move away from the mic if you're going to be loud. But I do try not to be too shouty. Somebody said, thank you. Can't we just work it out? Yeah, no. Like, someone said absolute terms can be a big problem. Yeah. Someone said coming from a household who fights and yells. Yeah, nah. Well, I also came from a household that fought and yelled. And I'm still telling you, it was completely pointless. This though. It's those absolute terms that really, really are the easiest way to anger your partner without even trying to. Like, for example, I'm going to make up a scenario. You always mess up your side of the bed after I make it. And then the first thing that the other person's going to do is go on defense and be like, well, I don't always do that. And then boom, fight. You always do this. You never listen to me when I say to do this. You never do this. I always. It's also really bad when you start using those absolute terms on yourself too. People are going to get really upset with you. Be like, I always have to do this. I never get to do this. A lot of times I feel like when people are arguing, because I've been privy to way too many arguments, they're actually arguing about the minutiae of, well, this doesn't always happen, or this doesn't never happen. What about the time? And by the time you get into what abouts, it's honestly over. And whatever your actual core issue was has been completely lost in the sauce. But the always and the never comes from the times where something happened and you didn't say it. I keep my mouth shut once because you did something I didn't like, because I don't want to cause a problem. I do it again because I don't want to cause a problem. I do it again, and by the time I get to the fourth time of me not pointing out something that bothered me, I'm just like, you always do this. I have 4 other examples of you doing this, and it's pissing me off. And then the person I'm talking to is like, what? And then they start feeling attacked, and it's like, well, what about this thing that you always do? Don't do that. Honestly, that's why when things bother me, I just will say them in real time, explaining my perspective and how the thing that happened made me feel. I just be like, oh, I thought based on the way you reacted to this, like maybe you were not interested. Is that true? And then I can let them explain. Well, okay. Part of this is also because I'm neurodivergent, so I literally need people to explain their actual opinions and feelings to me. But yeah, no, I'm just like, oh, I feel like what you're doing makes me think we're not having fun. Are you enjoying this? And then I can get info that I can actually work with. If somebody says, no, I am enjoying myself, I was just a little bummed because I ordered this burger without pickles or whatever, and it came with pickles. And I'm just like, oh, great. Thanks for letting me know. Or if they're like, no, I'm actually not enjoying myself because I don't like this other thing. We can like work with this. We can work with this. Give me something to work with in a relationship. That's all I ask for. I can pivot based off of communication, but I need that communication. Otherwise, I have nothing to go off of, honestly. And I also demand the communication from the other person. I'm like, listen, honestly, if you love me, please do not be mad at me without telling. If I did something that upsets you, I would like to hear it. And then we can move from there. And it has honestly worked out for me so well. I'm telling y'all, it works out really, really well. Because a lot of times what will happen is somebody will be like, oh, you did this thing that has inconvenienced me. And most of the time I'm just thinking, oh, sorry, I'm gonna stop doing that. Thank you for telling me. And then it's never a problem again. It's never a problem again. Unless, of course, I forget. And then I'm like, oh, this is this thing that I'm working on that I'm trying, like, because I realize now this is affecting you. Don't be offended. Don't be offended that the things that you do can upset other people. That's how cohabitation works. Somebody's going to do something that you don't rock with. Just say it. And if you're not with somebody who can stand the heat, honestly, you got to think a little bit about, how you're going to move forward. Someone said tone matters. Tone very much matters. Yeah, no, like, don't get, the other thing though, the other thing that I know that people struggle with just from experience, they don't know how to hold, sorry, I gotta drink some more water. I don't know why I'm starting to get a runny nose. This is a horrible thing to have during a live stream. And if I'm getting sick in real time, no, I rebuke that. Being upset doesn't always have to be directed towards your partner, even if they did something that upset you. That's a really big one. Actually, sometimes I have been pissed off by like inadvertent behavior. And I'm just like, oh, you know what? I'm mad about this. If it comes out as like, hey, this thing that you didn't even know, let's have beef right now because I'm upset and you're fine. And it never, ever goes well. What I try to do is be really clear and be like, I'm upset right now because of this thing that you did. So what are you gonna kick it back to the court? There's a really big difference between like, I'm upset by this thing that you did, and I'm upset at you. I am angry with you, and you like, it sounds like the same thing, but it's not the same thing. I've never really had anybody get pissy at me when I explained like, oh man, I have just found that to be kind of upsetting. Can you give me something more to work with than this? Because this isn't working for me. So that's another one. Like, just because you're mad doesn't mean you have to. Oh man. Someone says some people don't hear the difference. Yeah, no. And then that's when I'm like, if you're with somebody who never ever wants to hear you ever talking to them about their behavior and the things that they do, I wouldn't want to be with that person. Actually, for me personally, I can't be with that person. If it's somebody and I'm just like, oh, I have feelings, I'm upset by this thing that you did, and they start getting pissy at me, it's not going to work ever. It's never, ever going to work. Someone said, kick it back to the court. Yeah, I always just try to like, it's literally a two-way street, a tennis match. Okay, hey, this is how I feel. Swing. I'm waiting to see what they hit me with instead of assuming the worst. If they swing back and they're just like, well, I am not going to change this even though it upsets you. Okay, yeah, I'm probably going to get really upset. But if they swing it back and they're like, I didn't even know I was doing that, and I'm sorry, hey, I can work with that. And they swing it back and they're just like, oh, well, I wasn't trying to upset you. Here's what I thought was happening. I can work with that. But I think a lot of times people will project a few swings forward without that initial back and forth, because there's just a lot of high energy going into things. Someone said my partner makes a note to self to makes a noise to self-soothe that triggers my misophonia so bad, and like headphones will leave the room. We make it work even when I'm full of rage. Yeah, no, like anything can work, honestly. I have a lot of triggers actually that do inspire rage in me, but like for me personally, it never does have to result in like me raging at my partner. I think the misophonia that this person just mentioned, I have that as well, really bad. And part of what explains my perspective, we've been on this page before. If you don't have this, Lord, you don't want this. It says, where you have a decreased tolerance to specific sounds and things that you can sense related to them. While it doesn't have an official recognition yet, experts still recognize it. There's a formal consensus. Okay, people are working on this, right? People are working on this. Okay, so I've given this analogy before. Reactions to sounds that trigger you could be like emotional feelings like anger, body processes like a faster heartbeat, behavioral actions like glaring, and triggers can be anything from chewing food noisily to, you know, lip smacking, rustling paper or plastic. Let me tell you what my actual reaction to this kind of thing usually is. Up here where it says emotional feelings like anger, for me, in the moment, it's more so feelings like, I'm just going to break up with you. Or like, I'm never coming to your house again. Or like, honestly, I can't believe, like, the rage that it inspires in me is actually literally very difficult to work with. Because I think one thing that I talk about a lot just in my personal life is not knowing where to put the feelings. I talk about that in therapy a lot, of just like, I don't know where to put this feeling. I don't know where to put this feeling. And I get a lot of really useful feedback of like, oh, well, this is where you can put the feeling, or that's where you can put the feeling. I get this feeling. And the easiest place to put it for me is just like, you just go away forever. And we never have to deal with this again. I literally cannot with misophonia triggers. It's just the worst thing ever. Body processes like a faster heartbeat. How about body processes like I feel like I'm dying? I'm just like, I'm probably just going to implode if this noise continues, or if I don't have some way of blocking this out. And then they say behavioral actions like glaring. Yeah, the behavioral actions can get a lot worse than that on my part. But because of all this, someone said it's completely irrational and unavoidable anger. Yeah, I literally cannot control my reaction to this. But I can control my external reaction. My internal reaction is real. Some say I'm a lever. I'm a lever, unfortunately. That's what I do. I just can't. I can't do it. It's not a choice. I'm just like, okay, if these sounds are going to continue because I don't have direct control over other people and I can't really be in the presence of this, I guess I just can't stay here. So I will go to another room, or I will, block out the sound some kind of way. A lot of times, often without telling people about it. Most of the time, I won't even really say anything if nobody realizes what's going on. It's not that weird to go to another room. A lot of times it's not that weird to listen to something or take your attention, because the sounds usually don't persist forever. That's, in my case, the best thing about it is like I can wait it out. That's what I do. I'm like, I'm going to wait this one out. Because if I try to engage with this feeling, no one's going to be happy here. But because I have to, someone say, hey, I'm a guy. I love the stream. Hey, welcome. Thank you for being one of my 16% male viewership. This very same process is really easy, not easy, but it translates really well to almost anything else in my life. I do the same thing. For me personally, I have to do the same thing with a lot of my feelings from depression, where I feel a certain way and I want to react in a specific way, but I'm like, oh, you know what? What's the next thing that I can do that's not exactly indulging in the feeling that I just had? Is there something more productive I can do? And then it doesn't even always have to be like disorder type stuff. It could be just neutral feelings that everybody has. Oh, I'm upset. Well, is the next thing I have to do actually rage? Can I still validate my own feeling and my own upset without also making this a problem for somebody else? The answer is almost always yes. And so essentially the way I see it is I want to be respectful towards myself. When I'm angry, I would like to be validated, honestly. I just don't always need the other person to do it. That's the thing that I realize nowadays. And so a lot of my feelings, I will self-validate. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm really pissy right now, but you know what? This other person can't fix that for me. And me spreading this is not going to move us closer to parity. So I am actually going to find some other way of validating this and thinking about this and making sure this doesn't happen again. But yeah, finding people who are willing to work with you through this sort of process. I won't say it's impossible. It's a lot harder than making concessions and just being okay with people who want to be unhealthy about everything. Someone says so healthy. Yeah, no, I personally believe I have a very healthy approach to relationships. I love my approach. Granted, that results in many, many people not even just being able to rock with me or meet me where I'm at. And so I'm just like, okay, I guess we're not meeting. But yeah, no, finding people who are on the same wavelength as that thought process. Because here's the thing. You can't try to have a healthy approach in a relationship with somebody who is not going to do the same thing for you. That's called you just being a punching bag. If you were like, oh yeah, I'm somebody who's always going to try to like understand and try not to like, exacerbate things and this, that, the other, and you're dealing with somebody who doesn't have the same outlook, it's just going to turn into you being a very understanding punching bag. And so you got to be careful. You got to be careful when you think that you're being healthy in a relationship. Are you being healthy, or are you low-key putting up with more than any person should have to? So it's tricky. Someone said, I'm a narcissistic man who's appreciating every bit of advice. Well, yeah, again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. After my streams end, you should just dump 60% of everything I say into the trash, because I'm not qualified to offer advice on anything. I'm only qualified to talk about my own feelings. Someone said that's why I'm single. I low-key feel like I do not understand the stigma against being single. I know that this is an unpopular opinion. You can just look at reality, society, everyone around me constantly trying to, like, I guess I somewhat understand loneliness, obviously. Kind of, but not really. I just, there's nothing wrong or embarrassing with being single. It's like so almost nothing to me, to whether I don't know. I know that sounds really crazy or extreme, but I'm just like, I don't care. I actually do not care about whether I'm single or happen not to be. Yeah, I have to change things in my life if I'm in a relationship. Yeah, things in my life will be different if I'm single, but I don't really ever feel like I'm missing anything. And if that offends people who I'm in a relationship with, by the way, that can offend a lot of people. Just telling them, like, I really cherish what we have going on here. I was also happy beforehand, and my happiness honestly is my biggest priority. And will continue to be, no matter how this relationship progresses or doesn't progress. You'll get people who are like, no, I must be so important to you, I'm fixing you, and I'm just like, no, I'd be fine regardless. But what that does, honestly, is it creates like a much higher sort of it creates a lot more engagement that I wind up needing from people, because I myself, I don't care if a relationship ends if it's going to make me happier. Okay, guess it's back to being single, where I was fine. I don't really need any other person personally. And Lord, that can really bother a certain kind of person. That can really bother a certain kind of person. But like, womp womp. Someone said it shows me where they're at. Yeah, no, what are we holding on to? We don't got kids. Sounds like we would be happier. Let's go be happier. Nah, I'm different though. To some people, because some people are just, they're like, no, that's not me. That's not my heart. So I've never been in a relationship and I'm 35. Ah, wow. Yeah, no, you could tell that to the average person and they would be really like sad for you. And they'll be like, oh no, oh my God. You know what I mean? But like, if you're happy with yourself, like, does it change much? Honestly, that's my opinion. Someone said fall in love with yourself first. I have really mixed feelings on that. I have really, 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 really mixed feelings on love yourself first. Because on the one hand, yes. But on the other hand, Lord, when I tell you I struggle with that as a person with depression in my case, and a couple other things that sometimes make it really hard to love yourself truly. honestly, I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but just due to the level of depression that I've experienced in the past, I've had to be like, no, I don't really love myself, but I'm still going to be in this relationship. The thing is, you cannot rely on the other person to fill what you were missing. And that's the issue that you run into. There are a lot of people who don't love themselves. And because they don't do that, this other person turns into an ideal. Thank God I have somebody who is going to do this thing that I should really be working on for myself. You're going to do it for me. You're going to fix me. You're going to provide the stimulation I'm looking for. You cannot do that to people. You can't do that to people. That's an insanely unfair thing to do to another human being, and it's wrong, honestly. But that being said, sometimes my depression has just been like, I'll say I really don't love myself right now. But I'm not expecting you to fix me, and we can totally still be in a relationship. I don't really think I was a bad person for doing that. I definitely don't think you should just be forever alone because you also happen to have depression. But like, it's a weird nuanced thing. If you want someone to fix you, it's never gonna happen, and that's a horrible thing. But sometimes that self-love, dude, it could be much harder to find for some people than others. Someone said I don't always like myself. I definitely do not always like myself. I've talked about this before on the stream, but like, depression as it's commonly manifested and or depicted in like pop culture of like being sad and wearing all black. Okay, here we are wearing all black, and yes, sometimes I do get really sad. But like, if you took away all the noise, if you took away all the noise, honestly, what is at the heart of my depression personally, just the way I experience it, is literally just like, I'm just a bad person. I'm just a bad person. I'm just net negative. And like, I work with that. That core thing. I really try to like be rational and understand I can do good, and it's absolutely not okay. That's not even fair to like label yourself this way and like say that you're not worth helping or whatever. A lot of my dealing with my depression is honestly just like, stop being unfair. You know what I mean? Like, your opinion on yourself isn't even valid. But honestly, that is the main thing that I struggle with. It's not being sad. It's not being, you know, oh, I want to be happier. I wish I was happier. I just sit around and I'm just like, God, I just wish I had value. That's how I experience depression. Someone said that's poor self-worth and shame. No, that's the tricky thing. For me, I'm only talking about my experience. It's honestly not exactly poor self-worth and shame. I think a lot of my depression, or my experience with it, is I just want somebody to explain rationally how it's better that I'm here than I'm not. That's just the main thing. It's not just that like I myself am like unconfident. Funnily enough, I've been hella depressed and hella confident. Like, I'm doing great things right now. I'm really popping off and I'm working hard, but God, this is all so empty. It's most of the time I just like, I feel like everywhere in my life I am looking, or I have a tendency when I'm struggling to like look for that thing, like, please prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm doing more good in this world by continuing to remain here than by leaving this world. And when my depression gets really bad, that's when I don't have an answer for that. And I'm like, no, there is no reason. And I'm right. And all of these horrible ideations that I'm having, I knew they were right. And they were always right. Like, all this happiness was temporary. It gets really bad. For me personally, when I'm doing well, I am mostly just neutral on this. I'm mostly just neutral. And I'm like, it's okay that I don't have this sort of like message from the universe explaining that like I'm here for a reason. I don't need that to do good things and try to be a good person and find happiness wherever I can find it. So that's essentially for me the dichotomy of depression is like, oh, should I just die because what the hell? Or like, oh, you don't need a reason to live. That sucks so bad, by the way. Initially, I wanted that reason so badly when I was younger. I wanted so badly that reason to live, to keep going. And that's why when so much it gets better is telling you like, oh yeah, it gets better and you're here for a reason and stuff like that. For me personally, no. I'm sorry. Honestly, the pointlessness sometimes that I do feel during like the midst of my depression stuff, it's not like wrong per se, but it's just, you have to be really strong. I try to be really strong, and I'm just like, you can move forward without that thing that you're looking for. That's what I do from me experiencing depression. I move forward without that thing that I'm looking for. I don't think too many other people have to like struggle that hard with this on a daily basis of like, how do I move forward without that thing? It's just every single day trying to be strong enough to like, because honestly, like, you are sort of your own self-fulfilling prophecy is the thing. I'm going to try to say this without getting emotional, but like, you have to realize on some level the fact that you are here at all is very, very insane. That's crazy that things happen in the world the way that they did, resulting in you specifically. I think sometimes about myself and I'm like, I can't believe that I'm here. I know of at least 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different events that could have easily happened in the past where I never would have even been born. So I think to myself, even though there's not necessarily some sort of like instruction manual, divine purpose, reason why I'm here, it's still crazy that I'm here. I think it's crazy. It's crazy that I live here right now in this time period. And sometimes I get really like, honestly, I find a little bit of that spark that people are talking about or seem to be talking about, the joy of life. I'm just like, wow, joy is not the right word, but I'm wigged out that I happened in the first place. I take that feeling, and that is my thing that for other people is just a reason for being here. That's the feeling I work off of. I cannot believe that I'm here. I can't believe it. This is insane. So because I'm here, I'm going to try to do good, right? For myself. I'm going to try to be happy. I'm going to try to make other people happy to the best of my ability. I'm going to try not to make the world worse. It's hard to do, but there's things that you can do better. That's what I live off of nowadays, honestly. And if you ever say to yourself, someone said wonder, it's wonder for me. I just can't believe this. So if you ever see me and you're like, oh, D'Angelo, you seem like you're doing better. I am. I get that comment a lot, by the way. Like, you seem really happy in your live streams, or even my family members are like, oh, I caught your stream and you seem so alive. I am. And it's mostly just because I stopped, I guess, looking for something that was so hard for me to find. And I'm more so just, I'm shook, man. I'm shook. What do you mean? Like, it's just crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. But it's really just one thing, one day at a time, honestly, though. Like, I didn't get here because one day I woke up and I looked around and I was like, wow, I love being here. It was more so because one day I woke up and I looked around and I was like, I'm unhappy with all of these things and I'm depressed and I miss the sun. I miss sunlight. And so then I opened my window. Okay, maybe that was 0.5% better. I got 0.5% better. And then another day, I'm just like, wow, it's so pretty outside. I'm just still so deeply unhappy. But you know what I miss? I miss other people. I miss other people. So then I go out and I have a conversation with someone and it goes out really horribly because I'm still sad and I'm still a mess. And I'm just like, well, you know what? Thank you for trying to talk to me. So now I have sunlight. Now I have other people. Point by point. Someone said fresh air. I had to do the same thing with fresh air. Like, oh, I'm so sad. But you know what I miss? Fresh air. Not the air in my room that I haven't left in all these. So I'll go outside for 1 minute. For literally 1 minute. And I'll be like, okay, that's enough fresh air. When you start like building bit by bit these little things of like, okay, I have a fresh air today. I have the sun today. I have other people that I can speak to today. I got to this point that I'm at without realizing it. At a certain point, I realized like, this isn't excruciating. And also, by the way, it took a lot of therapy and also other help that I can't get into because I'm not a professional, but like essentially all of these things coming together one step at a time is how I've moved into a different space with my depression personally. I don't even really feel less depressed. I don't feel like anybody has actually convinced me out of my depressive worldview. I just now realize that that depressive worldview does not actually have to translate to me suffering as much as possible all the time. And so I've really tried to stop doing that and I'm happier. Yay. Someone said learning to breathe correctly. Yeah, so many things just started slowly falling into place. And over a course of years, then, well, I'm doing the downhill motion. Actually, we were going up. But yeah, it was very much like the meme I showed you earlier of like, we're so back. No, it's over. No, we're so back. It's over. Somebody said new piercing. I do not have a new piercing. I only want one. Someone said it's just that I can cope now. Yeah, I say this all the time. Things did not get better. I just got better at dealing with things. That's all. I'm just older. A little bit older. Someone said me too, up and down. Yeah, no, the up and down, man. It's just... Oh, and I get tired of it too, by the way. Me checking the time to make sure I haven't been ranting for like 5 hours. Okay, no, it's only 2:40 on my end. I get tired of the up and down though. There's definitely some times where I'm just like, what about stability? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if everything wasn't on the countdown timer, but you really got to just appreciate the ups while you up and look forward to them when you're on the downs. People are talking about anhedonia. Can we talk about that, man? Can we talk about anhedonia? I'm trying to bring up my computer, but it's wigging out on me. Hold on. Okay, we're back. We are so back. I want a formal definition for this. Yes. Thank you, Cleveland Clinic. Anhedonia, the inability to experience joy or pleasure. You may feel numb or less interested in things that you once enjoyed. Common symptom of many mental health conditions like depression. This was the issue, though. This was the main issue, though. How do you get better if the things that are supposed to make you feel better don't make you feel better? Because the thing that you're trying to get better from prevents you from feeling better. That's tricky. That's tricky. I don't have an answer for that. For me personally, it was literally just like an excruciating years-long process of honestly faking it until I make it type stuff, of still putting myself in scenarios that theoretically should be producing the joy and the pleasure that I'm looking for, even though they weren't. And I just kept showing up waiting for joy. That's the only way I was ever able to move past this. It felt a lot of times phony. It felt a lot of times like I was faking. I was honestly. But here's the thing. I essentially figure if I'm going to be spiraling or just running away from things or whatever, can I not fall headfirst towards happiness? That's essentially what I had to do in the midst of my lowest points of like, nah, this is definitely all downhill and it's headed somewhere fast. Can I try to aim? That's all I can do with this anhedonia. Trying to direct wherever I'm going to go splat at some point, which is how I feel. Could it not be, well, you went splat while trying to be better and surround yourself with nicer things? And the more that I do that, the more I sort of realize, like, wait a second. I am a little okay right now, currently. I'm neutral, you know, and then you get those little bit of neutrality moments and then they can move into positivity moments, etc. But yeah, that's the thing about depression that's so difficult is like, I feel like I get to say this. Don't make it worse for yourself. Don't make it worse for yourself. People who do not experience depression trying to tell you not to make it worse, I'm sorry, those people piss me off so bad. They piss me off so bad. They really, really do. I get so mad when people who don't even know what I'm talking about are trying to be like, oh, well, don't stay in your room. That doesn't help. But listen, though, for me, if I'm being actually honest with myself and responsible for me, depression really does make it easy to make things worse for myself on purpose. I do it on purpose. Honestly, that's not the same thing as me saying, that is literally not the same thing as me saying I'm responsible or blaming myself for my own mental health. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you right now, taking accountability. Honestly, a lot of things that happen while I'm depressed, I will do other things that I know are not helping me. I know this isn't helping, but for me, and that those times it's like, but I'm already here, so who actually cares? And then I engage in some sort of behavior that's making me more depressed, or I ignore positivity because I just don't want it. I really don't want that. That's really tricky. Again, that might sound really similar to saying, oh, you can just choose to be better. I can't choose to be better. I can't choose to stop having depression, but it's really hard to be rational about the choices that you are making when you are experiencing depression. That's the trickiest thing. Sometimes I'll be doing things that are depressing myself without even realizing it, because that's not how I was perceiving it. It was just all part of my brain's desire to trap me in this depressive spiral. So yeah, it's really, really a really tricky mix of taking accountability while also being nice to yourself and not blaming yourself. Because I'll tell you that right now, I still don't blame myself. I do not give myself a disorder. Like, I don't know. I didn't do it. So I don't even have to feel bad about it. That's how I feel. Reading chat, reading chat. Someone said, has anyone here had to stop school because of mental health? I'm doing my master's and I think I should, but I'm scared of the consequences. That is such a tricky, that's, Chad, I feel like I should have stopped school because of my mental health, honestly. I feel like I should have. I didn't do it. I didn't do it because I thought essentially that was just the beginning of the end. That was the beginning of the end, but like the thing that you're saying about being worried about the consequences, I realized at some point that those consequences were never actually the end. I get, from my experience of anxiety, I get so scared of the worst thing happening to me that I start obsessing over it and I can't move past it or whatever. But a lot of times the things that I was really, really, really worried about, I could have moved past. I could have moved past them. So honestly, like having to take some time off from school, I would have been fine. Now, I wouldn't really have been fine because like I was under time constraints for unrelated reasons, but like a lot of the things I was so scared of happening, in retrospect, I wish I had just let them happen instead of driving myself crazy trying to prevent the inevitable or stop catastrophe and feel like I'm Atlas with the world on my shoulders. It would have been okay to like fail actually a little bit. That's the thing that I never realized. That's the thing I never realized is that like people do this all the time. They try things and they don't work. They fail temporarily and then they don't die and they're okay. I literally, me personally, this is more of like a gifted kid thing. I've had to practice failing. I've had to practice failing in my life just to understand that it won't kill me. I'm being very serious. The gifted kid moniker, that wasn't even me being gifted. That was me being neurodivergent and placed into high stress environments because it impressed other adults. Because of this, I literally had to practice failing and be like, you know what? I'm going to create a controlled scenario in which I don't actually meet the requirements I'm looking for. And then I fail and I feel really, really horrible after. And then I look back on that and I'm like, oh, but you know what? I'm still alive. And I've had to do that multiple times where I'm just like, okay, now we're going to try another failure that's like a little smaller or a little bigger. And you're going to see that even if you fail at this thing, you're still not going to die. No one's going to jump you. No one's going to suddenly hate you. And so I fail in this thing and I'm just like, oh, wow, that didn't work. And I'm still here and I still have worth or whatever. I literally had to grind failures. That way I could stop having a life-destroying fear of failure in everything that I was doing. It was killing me. Every single day, I was just so scared because to me, there was nothing outside of this. So I didn't know how to envision myself alive after having failed anything. And anytime anything did go wrong, it really did feel like life or death in the past just because of how much pressure there was. But nowadays, I would say maybe I'm at like 60% tolerance. I do understand at this point in life, sometimes I will try to do things and they just won't work, and that's fine. 60% of the time, you just still get 40% of me that's just like, no, you must continue forward at all times. But yeah, no, like taking, on one hand, I will say like taking some time off from school is not failure in the first place, but also there's nothing wrong with failing. If you had a goal of doing school 4 years in a row and you failed to do that, well, you said you're getting your master's, so that's more than 4 years. That's okay. You'll be okay. You'll be okay. Someone said difficult when you have rejection sensitive dysphoria. Yeah, it is. Because when you have RSD, that thing that I just said about like, oh, you're not going to die, if you fail. Well, the dysphoria is actually like, no, you will. You will. Your life, like, dude, honestly, there's nothing outside of this. It's either yes or no. That's the thing that I struggle with rejection sensitive dysphoria. For me, it manifests in a very black and white way where it's either yes or no. Anything that's happening in life. If somebody's not on some level rocking with me, they must hate me, clearly. Or if I'm not succeeding, obviously I'm literally failing at everything and everyone is disappointed in me. Obviously, because I didn't succeed at this one thing. So see how I start talking about one thing and we're talking about depression, and then it kind of veers into misophonia, and then it veers into RSD, which for me would be because of ADHD, and like, so it's all very, and anxiety I think has played a lot into this as well. It's all very, for me personally, the disorder of it all, that's for y'all being mental health professionals and people with medical backgrounds. That's what this is for. It's useful for you to understand that I have ADHD and depression and anxiety, so you can help me with therapies and medication and stuff. For me personally, in my own mind, I'm just like, bro, I'm just like that. I'm just like that. I'm just built like this. That's how I feel. I'm just like, I love that we have names for all of these things, and they're very useful for me getting the help that I need. But personally, it's so pointless for me to even try to whittle down what any one problem I'm experiencing has to do with any one thing I gave up. I gave up a long time ago. I didn't give up on help. I just gave up on trying to figure out what is what. I'm just like, this is just how I am. It hurts, but we can move past it. Reading. Someone said writing emails is so hard. Writing emails can be hard. Making calls is difficult. A lot of things can be really hard. Reading chat. Someone said, I was forced to take 6 months off school and therapy due to mental health. My mom locked inside the house and my dad stopped talking to me. It could have been healing, but due to lack of support, it was hell. That's why I want us all to be more understanding about people who are experiencing things as well. Part of this fear of failure comes from a very real fear that you're going to experience these negative opinions or honestly actions and repercussions from the people in your life who don't understand that on some level mental health is a real or not real thing. It's real, obviously. So yeah, I wish things were as simple as sometimes I could make them sound, of like, oh, just do these things and just feel this way or whatever. But then throw in real life human beings into the mix and it gets really tricky really fast. But it is what it is, man. Reading. Someone said writing emails is so stressful, but I will still never use AI to do it. Yeah, no, I would write a short email before I would ever try to have the AI craft it for me. Someone said, do you ever worry you will never feel on top of things again? Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it might seem like I'm currently on top of things. I usually have the reverse worry, which is like, I'm going to stop feeling on top of things. I have the worry now. Have y'all noticed, by the way, I haven't really missed a day. There might have been a couple of days swapped around, but I haven't missed a single video. We actually have had one extra stream. And other than that, all the videos have gone up. All the streams have happened. In times like this, if I am not careful, I can get really terrified that this is all just like a weird countdown timer until everything starts slipping away from me. And then I don't have the ability to do the job that I'm doing. And again, playing into that fear of failure thing, playing into that RSD thing of, if I'm not succeeding, everyone must hate me. Nobody's proud of me. Like, it's hard. It's difficult. And that's part of the reason why I do take things really seriously. And I do try to work hard and like have a streak while I'm on. Part of it is fear driven, which is not a good thing, but like, what can you do? Sometimes I felt that. Yeah, no, it's tricky, man. But at the end of the day, I am still happy with the way my channel has gone though. I know that this sounds like cope or whatever, but I am being really serious. Just like my mere existence online is useful for me to look back and see times in the past where I was very active, very, very active, popping off or whatever, and then see times where I was just gone. Or I put out one video after 9 months. And then see times when I came back and I posted every single day, 70 days in a row, bangers, everything's going well. And then times where I was off and there was just nothing. And then times right now where I'm doing really, really, really well. I used to get really bothered by that, but sometimes I look back at my own body of work and I'm just like, well, look, you're still here though. You were just all of these things. Honestly, if I die, I'm not planning on it. If I die, just put that on my, just put multiple things can be true on my actual gravestone at this point, because that's how I feel. That's what I had to accept about not just the internet, not just online discourse, but literally myself. Multiple things can be true. I do cool things and I can work hard, and I also got really, really lucky. beyond, but like also I struggled a lot and failed super hard and disappeared and things evaporated and then I built them back up. And so multiple things were true. Someone said I was worried when you were gone. Honestly, like, don't worry when I disappear. Honestly, don't even worry if I was to not come back. If I never really moved back into this level of like health and sustainability that I'm currently at, one thing that I've definitely had to accept is like, that's not lessening the things that I'm doing. I'm not saying you're saying it's lessening. I'm saying for my own POV, I really had to remind myself, like, it's okay. It's okay if this is the best that I ever did. I know that might sound really like settling or like kind of sad. It's not actually sad. I really had to stop being terrified of losing my streak, terrified of losing my level of functioning. I'm just like, if I peaked and then I had to work really slowly to get back to where I was, that's okay. Because I did try. I really did try the entire time, honestly. So let's just appreciate what we have over here. That's why I try to do in my personal life. Just like, it's okay. Sometimes you did really great, and other times you didn't do anything. but you're still here. That's all I can do. Someone said I heard you were bald and was like, thank God he's alive. Yeah, no, surprise, no hair. I will say that was really funny though. Like, anticipating the response that I was going to get. I was like, on some level, I felt quite known for my look. Even though I'm just doing drama commentary in the video essays on my other channel. I'm not like a fashion YouTuber or makeup or beauty, but I was like, oh, this is going to be crazy. This is going to be crazy coming back with no hair for some of y'all. This is going to be a shock to your system. But I was also just like, if anybody could pull this off, it would be me. That's the thing, is like, despite any cocktail of disorder and disability that I just outlined, I do still know at the end of the day that I'm really him. I was like, oh, don't worry about that. That was maybe the thing that I was the least worried about, is just coming back with no hair. I'm just like, oh, please, I'm still gonna glow. I'm still gonna serve. And at the end of the day, it's still gonna give what's supposed to be gave. We didn't even need hair to do that. Someone said every 6 months I make a drastic change to my hair just to feel something. I understand. Trust, I understand. Someone said I love the bald. Why, thank you. You rock the bald like no other. You just have to understand. Listen, hair was very beneficial. I've talked about this before, the gender aspect of it all. I was holding on to my hair for many reasons. I liked it. It was the main reason. It's the only reason to do anything with your hair, because you like it. But a big reason was like, I loved the gender vibe that I was getting from my hair. But honestly, when I realized I could still give gender even if I was a bald man, and then I was like, I'm as non-binary as I want to be. It don't matter how I look. It don't matter what your initial impression of me was. It don't matter if you think you identified me as being binary, this, that, the other. It cannot be contained at this point. We've hit levels of gender that cannot be contained in a hairstyle. They can't be contained in the way I dress anymore. Someone said, will you ever grow a beard? Well, I can't do that, so no. I grow hair up here. Sometimes there's a little bit more of it in some of my streams than others. I am not one of those people who believes that like men should always shave. Like, people get so annoying on the internet about when a guy has any hair on his face, and they're like, oh my god, shave, ew, we hate mustaches, this, that, the other. I'm sorry, a lot of you need to get over mustaches. You really do, because the same way nobody really has valid input on what you should be doing with your body, you don't got valid input on what other people should be doing with their body, which is why I try to remember to shave before my streams. But sometimes, hey, we got some stuff happening up here which I don't care about anymore. But nothing happens over here. I'm 27 years old. And I was initially told that this was the age where things were supposed to finally start happening. Okay, I am a man. I am non-binary, but I'm also just a cis dude, you know, whatever. It's like, well, I'm not a cis dude, but you know what I mean? It's like sort of AMAB conventional wisdom that if you don't have a beard when you're in your early 20s, don't worry about it. Just wait. You can reach your late 20s, and then when you're 27, you'll have one. So I keep hitting these ages that people say, like, oh yeah, you'll be able to grow a beard. And it literally keeps never happening. And I'm just like, what is this scam? So maybe when I'm literally 35, maybe when I'm like actually 35, maybe I will have what qualifies as a beard. The most I have, again, is like mustache vibes plus some hair on my chin, which really does not equal a beard. It's just, it is what it is. But you know what? I also take it as a sign of you have to work with what you were given. So I say, like, okay, well, if I'm not going to be able to give you like the brawny paper towel guy, essentially, what is it that I can do that some of these more bearded colleagues could not get away with? And that is why I typically and consistently aim for like a very sort of like untouchably forest, like unplaceable energy. That's what I go with. I'm like, I can't really project whatever it is a beard projects. I'm going to project something interesting that is hard to do with a beard. I just want to be like a creature that you found somewhere in the forest and you didn't know what that was. What was that? That's my vibe. I just try to be more elven, because we need more representation, by the way, for like woodland creature type dudes. I love me a good, you know, beard, I guess, but also what about the anime characters of the world? Someone said whimsy. Yeah, exactly. I try to project a certain kind of whimsy and just accept the facial hair I was not given. Someone said, have you been watching Fashion Week? I'll probably do a recap after the fact. Someone said ephemeral. Exactly. I try to be ephemeral. I want to be here and then gone before you even processed or perceived me. Exactly. Reading chat. Someone said, I just feel like an orb of light sometimes. Yeah, no, for real. Someone said, this is so encouraging. Yeah, I feel like you just got to find what works for you. I think the thing too is like, it can get really, really tricky with like gender and wanting to present a certain way, obviously for reasons of, you know, assuaging dysphoria and stuff like that. But also there is a lot of power in just straight up being like, you know what? I am non-binary, period. It doesn't matter what you think about me. And I think like that helps me a lot. It helps me a lot, honestly. Someone said, I've had a short beard for a decade. Probably skin doesn't like razors and it's easy. Yeah, my skin also doesn't like razors, which is really annoying. I have to shave so often. I have to shave in a really specific way to avoid like crazy razor burn. But thankfully, I avoid crazy razor burn. Reading chat, reading chat. Someone said, just guy, what's going on? It's Saturday at the, we're not doing anything right now. We're just vibing. We're vibing, man. Someone says self-expression is difficult when your sense of self is in flux. That's very true, though. Yeah, when you feel like the outside is maybe not representing what's on the inside, because what's even happening on the inside is the real question. Yeah, that's a tricky thing. What do you prefer pronouns, Angelo? He, him. Exclusively. Thank you. I am non-binary and a man. Reading chat, reading chat. Someone said being a T-girl whose skin is super sensitive to razors but also super fast facial hair growth is hell. Yeah, having to shave repeatedly for any reason when your body revolts against you. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that for you. Someone said reading chat tickles my brain so good each time. I know, I don't even know why I say that. Or maybe I do, because it's like, I don't want people to join the stream and just see me going like, because then it's like, whoa, what is he doing? Is he good? Is he sad? Is he mad? Is he thinking? And I'm just like, specificity. It goes such a long way. Someone said, how did you figure out that you're NB? How did I figure out that I'm NB? When I learned the correct definition of the word, which is that it's actually not one specific thing. That's how I figured it out. When I finally realized like, oh, this doesn't mean what I thought it meant. I finally understood the truth about myself. And I'm like, oh my God, clarity. Actually, that's how I figured out I was a lot of things, when I finally learned the actual definitions of words. And I was like, what? I thought I wasn't this thing, but according to this actual definition, I am that thing. It helps a lot. Someone said, it's helpful for listeners only. Yeah. I try to think about what my videos and streams are like for a listening only experience. Actually, for my videos, I take an audio first approach for everything that I do. Mostly, it doesn't always work 100% of the time. But I very much try to like present things in a way where even if you were not looking at the screen at all, it could have come on the radio. You could have come away and been like, okay, let's talk about Timothée Chalamet. I know who he is and what he was in and the things that he was doing and the things that people were mad about. Like, I do try to keep that level of explanation up. I don't even know why. Because I know on some level, a lot of people put my content on while doing things. And I don't want you to feel like you have to be glued to the screen. Reading. Someone said, I saw friends truly expressing themselves and realized I was keeping up a mask that never fit right. Oh, that helped me too. Yeah. Also seeing other people just be out. Also, that's why representation is so important, by the way. I know people get so pissy about like, oh, they put a character in this thing and this character uses they, them pronouns. Oh no, we're dying. But like that character being in that thing could literally be the reason somebody sees a way of being in which they could literally breathe. I feel like that's the thing about representation. Now, yeah, a lot of times you get really cynical companies doing this for reasons that are actually quite, cynical. But on some level, regardless, it's actually quite important to have people be visibly out, Now, at their own comfort level. Like, the way I am right here is just comfortable. I don't owe anybody anything. If I never wanted to say anything about my own gender or whatever, I would never have to do that. I don't owe you jack squat. It's actually quite refreshing. But like, I think it's helpful for some people. So I do it because some people were really helpful for me. It was really nice, honestly. So useful. Someone said, sometimes your streams infect and invest my dreams, but it's okay, I consent. Oh God, I don't take any responsibility for what Dream Me does. Someone said, hey gang, did you have a podcast at one point or am I tripping? I did a long time ago. One episode and then I stopped for many reasons. many reasons. Breeding. Someone said, you talking about being NB a while ago has helped me realize that's what I was too. That's the only reason. I'm honestly one of the only reasons I'm really out and about. Because for me personally, it doesn't even actually change anything. That's the funniest thing about my gender. You don't need to know it. That's the thing. Is like, I know it's nice to talk about and things like that, but actually my gender, my expression, none of these things are important in terms of understanding my perspective and my actual content. I could be whatever I want to be or whatever I am, and you would just have to deal with it. But I was like, yeah, I guess even if it's not important to me, I don't mind talking about these things. It doesn't cause me any discomfort, and I just want another weird example of it for people. That's the thing. I want one more weird example. I don't think, actually, I'm just gonna say a lot of non-binary people are weird as hell, and I'm very weird. I'm sure you've noticed. Just my whole aesthetic is quite odd compared to what you typically get. That's just me being myself. And I had to see so many weird examples of this before I understood. I was just like, oh, people are going to think that this is a weird thing for them. But like for the people who finally connect with this, it's going to be worth it. I'm going to feel better sleeping at night being like, yeah, I was on live and we were super weird talking about made up genders again, and you know, all my normal non-binary nonsense that commonly crops up in conversations naturally, and it's like they'll still have to live. You'll be okay. Someone said weird complimentary. Yeah, no, very weird positive. We're weird as hell, honestly. Some say your aesthetic is so good it's giving Tokyo streetwear. Let's go. Some of the people's descriptions of non-binary are so individual. Anyways, they're so deeply individual. I mean, don't get me started, because I feel like everybody's gender is so deeply individual. But yeah, non-binary specifically, like, don't box yourself in. Don't do it. It's contrary to the whole idea of being non-binary in the first place. But yeah, don't box yourself in. Someone said, do you have any tips on audio forward script writing? I think I want to start making videos. Yes, I do. Literally just assume that you're writing for somebody who doesn't know what you're talking about. Writing audio first presentations has, in my experience, almost like a 1-1 correlation with also writing for your target demographic who's unfamiliar with your topic. So you'll find yourself having to be very clear in your wording. You'll find yourself having to explain things that are on screen. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. I just envision this person. They don't know who I'm talking about. They barely care. They don't know who I am. They just clicked in because they were bored and I had a good thumbnail and a good title. And I write to them. I present to them. I talk to them. A lot of times too when I'm on stream, obviously I'm talking to you right now, but like you is hella people. So the main you that I'm usually trying to think about for my stream is somebody who is not actually locked in with what I'm saying. I'm always trying to like throw bits of context out there for you to latch onto so you don't click in and feel lost for 4 hours. A lot of streams, and this is a fine thing by the way, this is how streaming works, but a lot of streams are very, very insular in that it's an inside joke for everybody in the stream, and when you try to join that stream you see all these like crazy references and emotes happening, and there's this like shared language that streamers I find oftentimes create with their audiences, which is awesome, and can be fun if you're a part of that audience. But I very much have the opposite approach where I'm just like, what if somebody who doesn't really know my whole thing happens to hop into the live thing? Would this still make kind of sense for them? And that's why we get a lot of comments of people saying like, oh yeah, I randomly checked out your stream and I liked it. You know, I don't want to be too streamery, too locked in, too online, you know? Someone said, I appreciate that because I often have no idea who someone is until I watch your videos. Yeah, I try to give the necessary context, and I don't always do it personally, obviously. I don't always do it, or not personally. I don't always do it successfully, but I try. Someone said, have you listened to Harry Styles' new album? Yeah, I talked about that. I essentially said that, like some of the production choices. I didn't really like love the album, and there was a few songs I didn't like, but Harry Styles is a talented person, though. I'm not a hater. I really don't think. So we're all too online. Oh yeah, no, we're never beating the 2 online allegations. We never are. What else we got? Some of my gender identity expression has changed a lot since I first started exploring all that, like 12 years ago. Yeah, also don't be embarrassed, by the way, to switch it up. Don't be embarrassed. You could tell people right now that you're something that you are right now, or that's how you feel, that's how you identify. You can identify however you want right now and then switch it up on everybody. Don't be embarrassed about that. I'm not saying you are. Just advice for you. If you are scared to call yourself non-binary or whatever it is that you feel like you may be, but you're just waiting for that confirmation, oh, forget that. Just identify however you want right now. And if later you realize that that's not what is actually representative of you, you could change it. That's okay. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't even owe anybody consistency in your presentation. That's the thing that I don't think a lot of people realize. You say you're non-binary right now, and then later you're like, oh no, actually I'm not. That's fine. Honestly. It doesn't, like, I'm not going to jump you. Nobody in the community is going to jump you. If they do, I'll jump them so that they don't jump you. Like, don't stress. Sometimes the only way you can actually figure out what you are is by being other things first. Honestly. Someone said, I am a guy now. He/it/horror. Yeah. Sometimes you have to try a piece of clothing to see if it fits. Literally, honestly, you are not disenfranchising anybody. You're not, like, sirens are happening in the background. That's the LGBTQIA plus police on the way to arrest you. How dare you say that you're something that you're not? No, they're not going to arrest you. You're going to be okay. Trial and error. Yeah, very much so. Someone said experimenting is very important. It really, really, really is. Someone said, I got more comfortable looking like a woman once I accepted that I'm a trans dude and started being out. That's actually kind of funny. That same thing happened to me too. Where in my experience, I was just like, oh, being identified as a man, now that I just straight up am non-binary, I don't care anymore. Not that I don't care, but like I am much more okay with like, oh, shave situation, nah, it doesn't matter. Bald head, whatever. People are going to think what they're going to think. I know on some level what I am. But again, it's different for different people. Dysphoria, euphoria, all these things play into that. Someone said NB men are so cool though, actually. Yeah, they are. I wish we had more. I wish we had more representation. I really, really wish we did. Which is another reason I'm trying to be here out and about. Look, we exist. Okay, we here. I didn't make up my gender. I kind of did as a joke one day. I didn't make up my gender. But yeah, I wish there was more representation for us. But you just got to be what you are. Be the change you want to see. So here I am. And it don't matter what kind of concoction you started with beforehand. If you arrive at some sort of masculine non-binary expression, I don't care what you started as. You're the representation I'm looking for real. Some say other people's labels don't matter once you're comfortable in your skin. They can matter a lot less. In my experience personally. Someone said I did make up my gender. I made a flag for it and everything. It rules. Honestly, that's fire. That's genuinely fire. So I think it's best to be yourself without trying to define who you are first. It's by living that you understand the best definition. Yeah, you don't have to commit to a label. And you shouldn't feel the need to do so, honestly. It's great. Someone said, I wish I could figure out my gender, but I honest to God find it so hard. Yeah. I'm not going to downplay it and be like, oh, just be yourself and don't worry about trying to figure yourself out. Just know that state of undefined theoretically may also be your gender. That's the thing I never understood. Theoretically, that may be the gender you were looking for, was the fact that you never actually settled on anything at any point. But it's tricky. Someone said there's so much unnecessary pressure when your whole existence is restricted by some made up labels. Yeah, don't limit yourself. That's not the point of the label. It's to like box yourself in and now have to follow these rules and stuff. Someone said gender is such a weird concept. I know, I wish it had never happened to me or any of us. That's how I feel. Gender is so weird as a concept. Why, I say? Why? Someone says I've been called pretty much everything, so I accept everything. Do you want to hear something really funny? It's not funny. I low-key, this is only me talking about myself. The main reason I just stick to one set of pronouns, I have a bunch of main reasons, but one of them, I just prefer the standardization. It's not because I identify more strongly with he, him. or anything like that. I just think about everything that's online that's been written about me and everything that will continue to be written by me. And I'm just like, I just want them unified. So whereas I actually don't really like mind any pronouns at all, I'm still going to continue to state my preference. He, him works for me. I just want everything under one umbrella because of my personality more so than my actual gender. At this point, my pronouns don't even have to do with my gender at all. It's just a meme. Just stick to what works for me personally. It's so stupid. Someone said it took so long for me to figure out I was agender because I was like, what gender am I feeling? There is no feeling. Yeah, that was the feeling right there. Someone said the path of least resistance is fine. You can do that and still have your internal self unbothered. That's kind of where I am with pronouns. It's just literally the path of least resistance. Like, whatever. I don't get dysphoria being labeled he, him, so we'll just stick with that. It works. Someone said, is this combo the reason there's such a small male audience? It makes me sad they can't handle something so basic. Yes. It's part of it. It's part of it. Listen. I have always talked about the same things online. I used to be an art channel, obviously, and then I switched over to talking about drama and commentary and people with platforms behaving badly. It literally used to be 60-40. My God, dear God, for a long period of time, it used to be 6. Can you guys hear that? Oh my God. I just hope everybody's okay. I never know what actually comes through my mic as I'm talking. Anyways, it used to be 60-40. I'm telling you this because I have always had access to my demographics. I was 100% talking about celebrity, entertainment news, pop culture commentary, drama commentary. 60-40. Dudes would show up because on some level they wanted to know what was going on. Yes, even if the video was about a celebrity acting weird. The 40% was dudes, right? Women or men. Forgetting how gender works. If you're a dude, you're probably a man. Even though I think dude is gender neutral. It's not 100% topical. It is 100% as my... Someone said my noise gate works really well. Good, I'm glad. It's 100% as my presentation and my videos started changing, even though it wasn't really much of a change. That's when it started dropping off. I didn't actually really get more anything. And it's really funny because I've always had like pink backgrounds, or I would always do like little things here and there. But yeah, having a whole extended conversation on stream about like gender and being non-binary or whatever, it's this kind of thing that just kept cropping up more and more that really bothered people. I think at one point in my Andrew Tate video, I said something along the lines of I forgot what I said, but I had made some sort of reference to essentially like, you should just do whatever you want as a man. You know what I mean? You should just wear whatever you want. You could be the prettiest girl in the room as a man if you want. Like more and more things like that started happening. And that is when I noticed my audience demographics changing. And I was like, oh, this is so interesting. This is so interesting, honestly. But yeah, what can you do? Personally, I don't care. I just care that the people watching my videos are happy, honestly. And it's decent enough content. I'm not revolutionizing YouTube over here by streaming 3 times a week and putting up barely cut videos, honestly, for fun on my 3rd channel. But like, I mostly just like, do people enjoy what they're experiencing? You don't have to be a man. It don't matter at all. Someone said, can we talk about how guys want to use dude and bro as gender neutral, but won't let themselves be called girl or ladies? That is true. Oh my gosh. The type of dude who will get mad if you call them like queen or, you know, this, that, the other. And it's like, on the one hand, I understand, like, no one wants to be misgendered, but why is it not misgendering when you take typically male terms like guys and apply them to a group of people? But then you get the ick when people are doing the same and the opposite. I see that a lot for sure. Reading chat. Someone said I played a man in a show once and I looked so much like a man that I experienced gender dysphoria, and that's what made me understand trans people. That's what some people don't realize. Like, that's all people are looking for. Just not feeling that the way that you felt as a cis person in that moment, presumably cis. That's all people are looking for. It's so interesting. Someone said I call everyone mama. Yes, indeed. Someone said I want to call you girl because we're friends. Because of the way that I talk, people do this in conversation with me without realizing it, and they'll apologize. Like, I will be 40 minutes into a conversation with somebody in real life, because I talk about the same things I talk about online in real life, which is why I have so much longevity. Why does he show up so many times to do this? Because I care. We'll have a conversation about Timothée Chalamet in real life, and then 40 minutes in, the person I'm talking to, maybe a woman, and they're like, oh, girl, and they're like, oh, sorry, and I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. It's funny how often it happens, nitty gritty, women just trying to call you girl because they're spilling and you're shook and you're invested, and it's like, oh, girl. I'm not a girl, but like, I don't really care at all, because to me, I honestly see that as like, oh, I made it. At the point, listen, I'm telling, this is the thing for all you men, listen very closely. At the point where somebody is in a conversation and you've been talking for a while, and they say, oh, girl, and they start saying something else, you made it, honestly. You're on a level of communication where you're getting, like, the tea straight from the source, honestly. You could not be more locked in a conversation with somebody who has just accidentally called you girl as a man. I think more guys should aim for that. It's quite illuminating. It's hilarious what happens. Reading. Someone said it means you're in. It literally means you're in. They're over here saying, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to call you girl. And I'm over here thinking, I'm in. I made it. I've gotten into the mainframe. She's not worried at all about any of the things she's saying. She's just yapping right now. And that's what I want, the stimulation. I just want pure, unfettered yap from all the people in my life. Just be messy. Just give up on... Yeah, no, it's so funny, man. It's so funny. Someone said, have you seen tattoos with white ink? Yeah, they look really cool. They don't look the way that one might think they look. So keep in mind, you can't directly tattoo white ink onto your skin and have a white tattoo forever. That's not how that works. But I happen to really like the way they look upon healing. They're really like subtle and cool. Someone said, I'm not a girl, but I'm okay with it. I'm not a girl, not yet a woman. Reading chat. Someone said, I've called male coworkers girl at work and they don't even flinch. It's great. Yeah, no, bro. Be mad about things that you should actually be mad about, honestly. I think in general, though, I have a big tolerance for when I understand what people meant. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. The reason why streaming is a nice experience for me. Because even if people say things in the chat that, like, are wrong, I feel like I usually know what people mean. Or like if people get things wrong, and like, yes, of course, just the kind of person I am, the alarm bells are going to be sounding in my head of like, no, correct the information. But I really try to go off of like, what did somebody mean? Did they mean to like belittle you by calling you girl? If not, then why do you need to make this an issue? Also, why would it be belittling to be seen as feminine in any way? Examine that. You know what I mean? So what is there to be so mad about as a man? I often wonder. I don't know. Not much, honestly. Reading. Someone said being misgendered as a trans person isn't just like annoying, it's genuinely painful. Well, yeah, no, I'm just talking about my own experience. I don't get any sort of dysphoria from this thing. Now, if somebody did, I wouldn't go around calling them girl. You know what I mean? That's a completely different thing. But essentially, again, like, meeting people at what do people mean when they say this. If somebody's like, oh, I'm kind of uncomfortable being referred to this way because they're experiencing, you know, negative repercussions or whatever, that's not really the same thing as like some guy getting pissy at you because they're like, how dare you? How dare you? Which is mostly what I have encountered in the past. If I'm just like, y'all suck. Honestly, y'all are so boring. I think on some level, despite consistently being othered in society, I just feel like the way I do things is the more fun version. Yeah, people are gonna look at me stupid and be like, "Oh, he's queer and non-binary and he's divergent and all these things that are away from the norm." But I'm just like, but I'm having more fun than you are, honestly. So who's really winning? Not me, but you're not either. It's so stupid. Reading. Someone said, I hate when people wait for you to make a mistake so they can correct you. I know. Just go off of like what I'm actually genuinely saying, like what I'm trying to truly say. Don't go off of what I said. I know that sounds counterproductive, but someone said every trans experience is different. I love calling people girl and I like being called girl despite being man because, well, the aforementioned reasons. We're yapping. Yeah, no. Every person is different. That's the thing. Like, don't apply your standards to other people. Point blank, period. If somebody does not like being referred to a certain way, I'm not going to refer to them that way. There's no reason for me to do that. Period. As far as I see it. But I just have my own things that I'm okay with, which is almost everything. And I go with what other people are okay with. Meet people where they're at. It's more fun. It's more exciting. I know that's not how the internet works. I know we're all supposed to be mad at each other over everything. But no, as I said, it's just more fun to do things my way, period. Someone said you're asking for media literacy in the ChatGPT generation. I know it's not the norm. It's not easy, but at the end of the day, you know, and hey, if you got to do really weird things like create a whole stream where you can have conversations like this and multiple people can share their perspectives without getting jumped, then you got to do what you got to do, honestly. Reading chat. Someone said meeting people where they're at is more productive too. Yeah, no, I'm so much happier in my life just honestly not getting pissed off at like every little thing that doesn't necessarily matter. I have a lot more energy for things that do matter. So somebody online, you know, mad over something is not always like the best usage or the best, excuse me, place to direct anger. Sorry, I need more water. Someone said everything is so good or bad, otherwise sometimes things can just be. That's what I was talking about earlier about Twilight energy, where everything has to be Team Edward, Team Jacob. Nah, some things are just fine. They're just okay anyways. But this has been a really nice week though. I'm thinking back about the week. I've enjoyed all 3 of my streams. I mean, I know last stream we had some audio issues and it was kind of up and down, but like we still got a good video out of that. I've liked these topics thus far. Honestly, even though we're in a bubble right now and the things that are happening outside the bubble are not good, I am grateful. I'm really grateful for the way that these streams have been going, the way, I don't know, everything. It's really nice. I don't know. Just, I know for sure there was a time on the internet where I could not talk about, say, Doja Cat having borderline personality disorder. It would just go horribly. It would just be so stupid. There would be no reason to do it. It wouldn't be productive. And a lot of people would be hurt by my own clumsy wording and just things like that too. But I think just trying to word this without being parasocial. Like, I do genuinely on some level need this experience on the internet to counterbalance the way things are, because then when I leave this space and I go into places, the places I usually pull my sources from, and it's everybody just being like the way that people are online, as you say, looking for media literacy in the ChatGPT generation, really just makes me feel like I'm going crazy. But yeah, no, I didn't want to accept it. I did not want to accept the way commentary was starting to feel. I'm just like, God, no. I know there were people on the internet who will literally like work with you instead of hating you, because it's so stupid, man. It's so very, very stupid. Anyways, someone said the world is not Barbie pink, but it can be. It can be if you open your mind. All right, so one more thing I want to do before we go, if my computer actually works, which I don't think it is. Okay, it's not working. I had one more topic I wanted and I'm excited about. Someone said sometimes you need to stick in a temporary bubble to preserve mental health. Yeah, temporarily. It's actually okay to be in a bubble. Hot take. I know that one's not popular. You just have to exit the bubble at some point. Okay, listen. I want to talk about Ticketmaster. I want to talk about ticket prices for concerts. And I want to talk about the recently leaked Ticketmaster thing that's going on. In our video about Timothée Chalamet, I had briefly started talking about concert tickets, but we didn't really get that far. That was a really long stream. We were talking about all kinds of things that day: ballet, opera, movies, Marvel. And so I realized this one kind of slipped past, but I had meant to tell you all about this recent Live Nation leak. It's so insane. Live Nation employee, so for those of you who don't know, Ticketmaster is what a lot of people have to use in order to get their Live Nation, Ticketmaster, things like this are services that people have to use to get their tickets to go to concerts and stuff like this. So my bad, this is a Live Nation employee. Live Nation, not Ticketmaster. Live Nation employee mocks customers as quote unquote so stupid. An internal message is released in court case. This is from the Associated Press. Incendiary internal messages in which Live Nation employee mocks customers as so stupid and says the company is quote unquote robbing them blind, baby, have been made public as over 24 states weigh whether to continue their antitrust trial against the entertainment giant and its subsidiary Ticketmaster. So these are from years ago, ranging from late 2021 to late 2023. We already knew that ticket prices were being gouged specifically so that your average person cannot afford them. That's not a conspiracy. It's just more so like you shouldn't actually be able to do that. And the people behind Live Nation have literally been bragging in their DMs about how they're doing this, calling the fans so stupid, saying that he quote unquote gouges them, is robbing them blind, etc. He made these statements while he was the regional director of ticketing with responsibility for a large amphitheater in Florida. This person was promoted to the head of ticketing for Venue Nation with responsibilities relating to all of Live Nation's venues, literally saying, I almost feel bad taking advantage of them, writing bahaha. Literally cartoon villains. Like actually kids movie villain level monologue of like, oh, I can't believe poor people are letting us do this to them. They'll never be able to afford these. Continues gouging ticket prices. This is insane. So right now, Live Nation they don't want these to be used as proof in court that they are price gouging, saying, oh, it just represented off-the-cuff banter, not actual policy between two personal friends who don't work together. Y'all are evil. Y'all, okay, to even like... trying to think about this. Obviously, on the one hand, it's evil to try to turn entertainment into something that your average person can't afford. Duh, right? But I think on some level, a really delusional part of me was just thinking like, oh, well, at least it's just capitalism being capitalism. Like, it's not something, it's just business. It's not something that people are actually happy about. It's not something that like people are deriving joy from or pleasure from, but literally seeing like, yeah, no, not only is this thing actually happening, but the people doing so are just giddy and think that you're stupid and feel almost bad. No, you obviously don't. And that they're being taken advantage of and then just doing evil laughter. But you don't want these to be used in court, you say. You actually genuinely on some level think this is not proof that what you're doing is unethical and that you are in court for a reason right now. That's terrible. That is awful. Someone said admission of guilt, full stop. That's evidence. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. This isn't like, oh, we're using rap lyrics to prove that you committed a crime, or you were literally just in a chat saying what you did. This is awful, man. This is really awful. Someone said, I bet they like kicking puppies. It's literally like puppy kicking energy of just like, oh, people who don't have power, we're going to make their life harder. We're going to harm them on some level because we have the ability to do that. And we're so giddy about the fact that we can get away with it. Someone said corporations all do this. They really do. And I should stop being like naive and thinking that like anybody is not doing this. I think maybe that's the thing that I was really just struggling with, of like seeing it actually in text is jarring, but it's quite silly on my behalf to think that there's any company that doesn't think of its consumers exactly this way. Is just kind of, God, it's kind of, no, it's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me. Reading chat. Someone said these ticket purchasing companies ain't slick. No, they're really not. It's the same thing though of like Timothy Chalamet saying like, oh, I just lost 14 cents in viewership, of literally thinking of the people who support you and the things that you're building as just being like numbers is how you get this exact kind of behavior, whether you're joking or it's off the cuff or whatever. It's really, really, really whack. Someone said, I mean, we do give them the power by playing into their hand, keep buying and you keep feeding it. It's true. Someone said it's a shift from customers to consumers for me. Yeah, no, it's icky. Someone said we're just a resource to be mined. It's also tricky too because like let's just be really, really real. Honestly, being on YouTube every day, you have to fight against this sort of energy right here. Of like every single creator has to figure out, how are you not taking advantage of your audience and viewing them as stupid? I don't view my audience as stupid because like, well, you're here now. We're having a conversation. I don't know. I don't want to spend my time talking to idiots, which is also why I try to get rid of them with every video by being nuanced instead of just angry and outraged, so I don't have a bunch of people watching me that bother me. But like, unfortunately, this anti-consumer energy, you're all just a number and you will do whatever. That's a lot of times what I feel like YouTube is trying to push you into as a creator when you look at some of the things that it says in YouTube Studio, essentially suggesting like, oh, YouTube doesn't say you should mislead your audience, but they kind of do. Because when you have things that are very, very like aggressive, and what I mean by that is very clickable because something crazy happens, YouTube will promote that and they'll tell you, yeah, your audience is more interested than normal. But then when you put out another video and you're honest about it, and that's not the case, YouTube is like, you should think about reworking this to make people more interested in it. And I'm like, I know that you're turning my audience into numbers and I understand that this could be seen as a game to play or whatever, but maintaining any shred of humanity while running a business that is ultimately supported by people who are monetarily supporting you is interesting. It's an interesting dichotomy. I mean, that's also part of the reason for me personally why I don't do like donations and stuff. For me, again, there's not every creator who does donations is the same thing as a Ticketmaster employee laughing about taking advantage of people and thinking that they're stupid. But for me personally, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know how to mitigate this line, so I just choose not to engage with it. If somebody gives me $5 and I stop the stream and I'm like, thank you so much, Joe Schmo 123 for the $5, and I know on some level that that's encouraging Joe Schmill 456 to give me $5 for the same experience, it does make me feel kind of icky. And on a personal level, when I start adding up $5 here and $5 there, and where all of these $5 could go, not to me, other places that, yeah, no. And yes, I absolutely did that, by the way. I totally, 5 years ago, back when I was streaming on Twitch, I did it the same way as everybody else with the donations and stuff. But at the end of it, I was just like, I don't want people to be numbers. I don't want, like, how to word this. I don't want to be dependent on somebody directly giving me money or feeling like they should have to do that to support me. So if I have to be creative, someone said pay to win parasocial. Honestly, yeah. That's also why I like that. Honestly, nobody can pay for my attention. I don't think many creators talk about this, because if you do, then the people who have paid for your attention are going to get really pissy, and those would usually be your biggest supporters. But actually, I don't really think it's a good thing for any creator to have an easy way for somebody to pay for your personal attention. I don't think it's a good thing. Not in this economy, not ever, but honestly, I very much prefer a level playing field. Nobody has any special ability to reach out to me or connect with me closer than anybody else, because honestly, nobody in my audience is more special than anybody else, especially not because they happen to be able to give me money, when the vast majority of people watching also can't give me money anyway. And I know I'm using the word give me money instead of donate. It's giving me money. I'm not a charity. Honestly, there's nothing to donate to. It's I know we as creators, we call them donations, so it sounds a little calmer, it sounds a little chiller, but like, you're just giving me money. And yeah, I all year when I was trying to think about how I wanted to come back, I was trying to think. Someone said Patreon's different. Patreon's different because you're paying for content. That's different. I'm not knocking people who are on Patreon at all. If somebody's willing to pay for a product, that's on you. But no, I'm just, the whole donation model really, I was trying to think, how do I do donations? Do I just cap it so that nobody can give me more than $5? Do I just, and then I was just like, oh, I'm just going to disable it, man. I'm just going to disable it. Someone said, I give you my 14 cents of viewership. Exactly. All of you are worth 14 cents to me each. And I could not be happier, honestly. Someone said this is the best take, honestly. For me, listen, I do genuinely still believe that the donation model is a good setup for smaller channels. It really is. There are some people who cannot afford to stream the content that their viewers want unless they get the donation. So I don't think donations should go away. You know what I mean? But I definitely do think, like, if the only actual benefit of it for you as a creator is just the attention aspect of it, don't set up your fan base like that. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. Every single person has to decide what they want to do, because there's no real 100% ethical way of doing anything, and that's the thing that sucks the most. You know what I really, really, really wish? I just wish I didn't need money at all. That would make me the happiest as an online creator. That would solve all of my ethics issues and the things that keep me up at night and the things that I worry about. What if to live, I was not dependent on money in any way, shape, or form, because that's just not how the world worked. And I could do things that people wanted for free. That would be great. That would be fantastic. But no, instead, you just got to decide, where does the money come from? What are you going to do? Someone said abolish money. Yeah, no, that would be great. Just me being comfortable all the time, like, and everyone being comfortable all the time without all of this fan freaking tastic. It would be great. It would be dope. Someone says Star Trek economy win. Please, for the love of God, Star Trek mode right now. Someone said bring back bartering. We should go back to bartering. I will barter. Listen, you want a YouTube video? Give me something. Which of my viewers, do y'all grow tomatoes? Give those to me and I will make a video for you. Do you, I don't know, what else do I need? Do y'all make clothes? Do you know how to sew? Can you crochet me a hat? You know what I mean? Holy crap. Someone said moral creators so rare, thank you. I don't know, man. I would not see me as, like, being more moral than other people. This is just, I'm going to be honest with you, the most moral thing I could do would be to stop posting on YouTube. If I'm being quite honest with you, I want to be clear. The most moral thing I could do, and I know that it's true, you can't convince me otherwise, it's a fact, will be to stop posting on YouTube forever. Just stop. And not play into Google and their revenue, not play into YouTube's whole creator economy. That would be, from a moral standpoint, so good, actually. But I refuse to do that. I'm not going to do that. So I make my own immoral choices the way I want, and I hope they even out to something that does not give my viewers the ick, honestly. Someone said, boo, no, you're a good person. We're all trying to be good people to the best of our ability. I feel like that's the best way of looking at it. Honestly, it's real dangerous when people start viewing you as like, oh yeah, you're one of the good ones. We're trying. But listen, take me back to this barter model. If you in your heart wanted a drama commentary video about Ryan Murphy, something that you didn't even know you needed, and you have the ability to crochet a hat, that way the next time I'm cold in North Carolina because the temperature goes like this and I don't have any hair on my head, and you just give me the hat and then you get the video. And another person, I like pizza, give me tomatoes so I can make pizza sauce. I could like crowdsource a barter model for my content. That would be genuinely incredible. That's never going to happen, obviously, but I'm just saying things that would actually make me happier or make my job a little easier to reason about. That would be incredible. Yeah, food, help me out with that. If you have excess of that to give in exchange for, but the money becomes the shorthand for this sort of model, obviously, and I understand that. But someone said, let me know if you need any cross stitching done. Yeah, no, like, which of my viewers will help me with the embroidery? I want some wall art. Here's a video about Jim Carrey. I wish we could do it. It would be so fantastic. Someone said, I don't know why, but getting paid for work or art always feels so weird to me. I do what I must to live, but I can't stop separating the two acts and feeling like I'm just being given money. Then you understand how I feel on some level. But like, I need the money, so I will continue taking it. But like, Lord, I actually mostly just want to live. I think that's the thing that people don't seem to understand about like anti-capitalism in general. People start getting so annoyed with you of like, oh, you're advocating for, let's say you're advocating for communism or you're advocating for socialism or whatever. But that's not how society works. No, it's not that I want money. I just want to live. You will never convince me that it's a form of leftist extremism to think that one should be able to live without money. Honestly, no one will ever genuinely ever get to a point where I agree with you. Like, you know what? We do need money and you should have that to live. For as long as we have people, honestly, who don't have access to things, who are struggling due to the lack of money, I will never agree with you that it's an extremist take that one should not need money to live. Now, whatever that winds up meaning is not my individual responsibility to solve. I'm not a theorist. I don't know things, but like, you'll never convince me that this is the right answer, dude. Never. Reading chat. Someone said nothing can truly be 100%. At least you're trying. Yeah, no, I can't be a truly 100% moral creator, voice of reason type thing on the platform. Nor would I want to be. That seems like an easy way to make one mistake and then everything goes to crap. But like, I can try. We can all try. You can try as a viewer to engage with good content and I can try to put it out. What can we do? Someone said universal basic income. Honestly, arguing against things like universal basic income in this current society, I just don't understand. Because, like, here's the thing. Like, fine, I accept your premise. We need money to live. Okay, great. I still view that as a very flawed starting point. But if that is inextricable from reality, the reality that we're in right now, then everyone should have money. as far as I'm concerned. Now, granted, that being said, I don't think universal basic income, that's not even close to my idea of what I would actually like to see. But where we are right now, where you have people struggling, suffering, and dying due to the lack of money, yeah, I don't know why people get really mad at that sort of idea either. It's so painful, honestly. Reading chat. Someone said people say that the economy would be affected if we were to just distribute money. Yeah, oh, there's a lot of people who will explain to you why actually it's a bad thing. Seeing wealth redistribution is going to ruin everything. You know what my favorite one that I see is? Oh, well, if you tax rich people, they're just going to leave. I see that one a lot. Oh no, don't tax the rich. They're all going to go away to... I don't know where they even say they're going to go at this point. They're going to go away to billionaire land, and then we won't have any economy anymore. Oh, great job. You increased taxes, and now you ruined everything for everybody. Someone said, okay, bye. Yeah. No, you want to know what billionaire land is called? Epstein Island. If I'm being honest, that's my idea of what happens when you round up a bunch of billionaires and put them in one place. By all means, let them go. We will be fine. Stop trying to convince us, actually, that we need billionaires for society to work. It's a sham. It's not. That's not how society works. It's not true. Someone said, and they don't. In fact, they stay and more come. Yeah, no. First of all, it's not even a true thing, by the way, that like by having proper taxing, everyone's going to leave and everyone's going to crash. That's not even true. But even if that was the case, that's no. What are you kidding? You've got to be kidding me right now. Someone said, bye-bye, rich people, go away. Yeah, no, please. What are you talking about when you say we can't tax the rich, they're all going to leave? Thank God. No, just kidding. But like, huh? It's so stupid. Someone said, I love this topic. Worldwide cap on income. Yeah, no, I will talk about this until the end of days. Capitalism is not the answer. And we propagandized to hell and back to believe that it's the right answer. Like, sorry, no sympathy for billionaires. None. Not any. Oh my God. I think people really, really hate, like, they hate pithy slogans for various reasons. Whether you think that they're ineffective or you just disagree with what they're saying. But like, billionaires shouldn't exist. Yeah, it's a pithy slogan, and it's just also true. I don't think it's more complex than that. Honestly, yes, it's more complex than that, and we can get into the specifics of why all day, and I do, and I enjoy doing that, educating myself. But sorry, you just in a world where people are dying due to lack of money, you should not have so much of it that it's not even doing anything. That's that's the weirdest thing about it. Some say eat the rich. Yeah, no, like. But again, because billionaires have convinced you that all you have to do is drop out of college and have a brilliant idea and you'll be the next Steve Jobs. As if a self-made billionaire is even a thing that can happen. It's not. This is why we, the people, just in the wrong class. We in the wrong class who are not billionaires. We just literally do all of their work for them. And we're just like, no, we have to defend them for when I move to this new class and I myself am now a billionaire. I'm temporarily, short on cash, but like, you can't take away people's ability to succeed because then you're taking away my ability to succeed. And it's like, damn, we've really been scammed. We've actually been scammed into thinking that like upward mobility is a thing that can actually even happen, or not even really seeing what class is and just the hard lines. These are hard lines. I need you all to know these are hard lines. They're not things that you just cross over or It's really tricky, man. It's really tricky. Someone said plus they evade most taxes and money launder. Yeah, no, exactly. We've talked about this before, but like rich people just love stealing stuff, honestly. They really do. You don't even want to be that, or you shouldn't on some level want to be that. You're never ever going to get to billionaire status without like, what's the word I'm looking for? Exploiting people, essentially. That's the word I'm looking for. That's just not it, man. Someone said we have all lost the plot. Yeah, but again, it's because people don't realize how much money we're talking about here. And they even think that like, well, I worked really hard for the money I have. That's not $1 billion. That's not even $1 billion in valuation. I know people get so annoyed and they're like, oh, well, just because someone's a billionaire doesn't mean they have $1 billion cash. Okay. Does that not then indicate that like there's something iffy about this whole valuation system in the first place? It's so dumb. Someone's being a billionaire isn't ethical at all. Last thing I'll leave you with. Another thing that, if this doesn't tell you something's wrong, I don't know what should. I don't know. This is my last ditch effort. These people don't even pay for anything. They don't even pay for anything. They literally use their net worth to take out loans. And under the idea that they could potentially pay for something, they get given more money to have more things. Because Elon Musk could theoretically pay for something, he can essentially take out more and more lines of credit because we know he could pay them off. Rich people, billionaires, let's be really clear here. They're not even actually paying for things using real money. And that is the thing, like people are working so hard to pay their actual bills so that they live, you know what I mean? And they're like, I have to obviously go to my job and make money. They think that that's what we are saying should happen when we're saying billionaires shouldn't exist and the money should not work the way that it does. They're not even like, they're like using money 2.0. It's like a new update of money, essentially, that billionaires are playing with, while laughing that we genuinely think that we're doing the same thing. Someone said this is sad. Yeah, no, dude, like, look into like how credit works and net worth and how billionaires actually afford things and what most of their money is actually doing, or what most of their money means. Someone said they use their shares in companies and property as collateral. Yeah. You're never going to convince me this is the same thing as somebody going from bill to bill. Absolutely not. Anyways, that's all I got. This was a great stream. This is a great week, honestly. I have no idea what's going to happen next week. That's the fun thing. I've had sponsors, because we got some more coming out. We know. I've had sponsors ask me, like, D'Enzo, what are your topics going to be? And I'm like, baby, I do not know. Anything could happen. So anything could happen next week. Taylor Swift could marry Bruno Mars. That would be crazy. What else could happen next week? Timothy Chalamet could go live in a convent. That would be crazy. Maybe you should do that. I'm trying to think of one more stupid example. The NFL could change their name to the NFL 2. They're just like, the first one wasn't good enough. Anything crazy could happen next week, and I'm very deeply excited to find out what that could be. So I'm going to leave, do some research over the weekend, and find some more topics.